Okay there, everybody. I believe, yes, if we are coming through clearly, given my very fantastic voice and tones and everything, you are here in the right location. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of Aerowen with our all Pimpak cast, and here on Welcome to the Party for Aerowen, a Numenera campaign set in a homebrew world of my own creation that is debuting here with Welcome to the Party. This is still a world very much in construction, but I'm looking forward to building it out with all of the help of just the community and my fantastic players who we will be getting a quick review of in just a moment. But before we get into that, I would like very quickly to do the little housekeeping stuff. So, for our sponsors, first of all, want to give thanks to Tabletop Loot. Huge thank you to Tabletop Loot, our amazing dice sponsor, providers of fine dice for all your gaming needs. Head on over to www.tabletoploot.com and use the code WTTPDICE to get 15% off your next purchase. So, going from there, we get to the fantastic Maddie, who has been a wonderful supporter of our community at So Nerdwear. Maddie and his amazing merch shop are the sole provider of Welcome to the Party merch, so head over to www.sonerdwear.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. So Nerdwear, it's what the nerds wear. And as you will see on our fantastic overlay, we are using Roll20, and Roll20 is proudly sponsoring us. WTTP is proudly sponsored by Roll20, the virtual tabletop that runs straight out of your web browser. Everything you need to play with your friends is ready at the click of a mouse, from click-to-roll character sheets to built-in video and voice chat, and you can even upload your own maps and tokens. I've done so frequently. It's pretty awesome. And get all that and more with a free basic account on Roll20.net. Sign up now at http://roll20.net/start/WTTP. In a time where we are separated from one another, it's good to play games with friends, and it's also good to think about maps and all of the fantastic things they let us see and explore in our world and create in our minds. And who better than Devin Rue for us to give thanks to as the amazing, fantastic supporter of our community and the Mapstress extraordinaire. Welcome to the Party is proudly supported by Devin Rue. For some of the best cartographical content on the web, check out rueinc.com. And if you are interested in helping support this channel, beyond just tuning in to see our lovely players get into shenanigans that will in no way break me whatsoever, Reed will most definitively break me in about 2 minutes into the game. This is a canon thing. Our Patreon not only goes to support the channel, but the people who support it too. Your generosity allows us to keep working on our mission to platform amazing LGBTQ and BIMPOC players and creators. So check us out at patreon.com/welcomepartyrpg. And if you want to get to know who some of these fantastic people are, both players, creators, and just the folk who lurk, as I believe someone was self-referred to themselves as gargoyles in our community chats, feel free to tune in and join our Discord. We have an amazing, vibrant community talking about all manner of feels, queer and trans-related issues, BIMPOC space, and just a whole lot of really amazing people. So feel free to join the Discord when you can. But all that out of the way, let's get a little quick introduction into who we have joining us here. So let's start off with the way the overlay is set up. My Twitch will let me see what's going on. Calm down, Twitch. We're going to start off with top left on the overlay, Gemma.
Oh, why am I first? No, I'm just kidding. Hi.
We love you. You have to be first.
My name is Gemma, but I go by Kupo Knight or on the Discord and Twitters. And tonight I will be playing Hanan. What is my... I was just going to riff, but then I forgot we had like little descriptors. Okay, so I will be playing Hanan, a nurturing nano who possesses a shard of the sun.
We may very well be finding out aspects of why they have this fragment of the sun tonight. Spoilers, maybe not, actually. We'll see. It depends on what the group does. But next up in the overlay, we have the, I believe, self-described mad scientist and our fantastic player, Noah.
Yeah, my name is Noah. Uh, you can find me at Oren at Twitter, and I'm gonna be playing Craven, who is a mechanical right who talks to machine and is actually the mad scientist of the group, I guess. It's unclear whether he's mad or actually just insane. What's the difference between both, anyway?
Insanity is a wonderful
Yeah.
thing, and it's a wonderful state to be in. I myself am not. It's great. Let no one tell you otherwise. But as a note to all of our folks tuning in, we are going to have a slight change in the cameras as we have our final player getting joined into the group, and we are in the midst of things. So, hello there to our fantastic last player. We are live, just letting you know. So I will be moving your camera and getting you set up and letting you introduce yourself in just a moment once my own phone lets me actually see what's happening on Twitch. But next up, we have, based on the overlay, actually, funnily enough, it is that player, so give me one moment while I move them, while I scooch them on over. Actually, while that's happening, why don't we let the fantastic, the incomparable Brahm introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Bram, and on the Discord and on the internet you can find me at the Phytos, and I will be playing Aerowen, the intelligent nano who crafts illusions.
Fantastic. And next up, we have the bardic wonder, the charming individual, the always wonderful to have in the group, Simon.
Hello, I am Simon, and I am on Twitter at Lucha Libris. My pronouns are he, him. I am playing Nopalzin, a rugged glaive who lives in the wilderness.
Himbo.
Yeah.
This was not officially established as canon, but canon actually, so that's a thing. Alrighty, I've almost got. Why is that showing that? That is very weird. Apologies if camera-related work is doing its thing, but we are almost set up. While that is going on, I'll introduce myself very quickly. I am Angela, known in other spaces as Phoenix, or the Phoenix Femme, or the Philosophemme. I am just your local trans gal doing trans things and gaming stuff in the TTRPG world, because that is me, and I am a walking queer transathon of emotions and feelings, something like that. We'll go with that. But last but not least, once I get Brahm's camera moseyed on over, and just take one quick second. Sunsilts, if you would like to introduce yourself to the group while I get this last camera fixed on over there. And Brahm, you are, as always, fantastic and set to go. Alright, camera should be back up and running.
Okay, so I am Sanzo, right now playing as Howard Mototheater, a clever jack who fights with panache, a circus performer turned adventurer, semi-willingly.
That might be one of the best intros I've heard for a character in a while. I love y'all. And yes, for Fellstrike, it is part of the joy of playing in the Numenera and Cypher system that these little descriptions give a lot of personality and little intro into these kind of people we're going to be experiencing and seeing throughout this next session. But as we get into the session, let's get into a quick review of where we are at right now. The party has been tasked, fellow individuals perhaps having worked with each other for a little bit of time, relative maybe newly acquainted, or just folks who are wondering, how did I end up with this person? I am regretting life choices. made their way on the back of a massive condor, heading towards the northern terrain of Terra to then make their way down to the pulled away fog walls to this newly discovered and newly appearing area down below in the ground terrain below the floating island world of Aerowen. Along the way, you had minor issues occur, namely giant storm birds, terrifying plummets down to the ground that a very astute use of a gravity bender allowed you to avoid the damage, and some apparently hunger-inducing descriptions by your GM regarding the food that was present at one of the local places you stayed at. Transfer points and transit stops that allowed various individuals to tell their stories and add a little bit to the local history and maybe a little bit of like heads up to anyone there. You traveled to the northern outposts, found another boat-built heron bird to fly down where the valleys of fog had pulled away to the ground floor. Using scan abilities from your very astute nanos, I believe it was Zeta, and maybe it might have been Hanan also, was pulled, seemingly just driven towards the direction of what the group found as a whole, a massive open front to a temple. Multiple stacks of what once must have been sort of white stone mixed with now ever overgrowing likeness and moss-like substance, and cubes stacked several stories high on top of this, shifting and moving all around. Still connected, very file cabinet-esque kind of bonds to how the blocks would move. But the group has arrived at the entrance to this temple. And that is where we start our session off. Quiet all around you. This massive hallway. No light as of yet. The sun is still out, but just the enormity of this hallway, seemingly built for the size of giants, stretching out before you. My players, what do you do now?
Do I still feel the pull?
It feels like the pull is gone. It's almost like once you were here, it's like being a little bit more at peace. You feel this faint little sense of like, almost as if someone were there whispering the sort of directions to lead you in. You just have this feeling that says, keep going, or keep looking. It's just a feeling, and it's could just be the heat, could just be the long trip, but it's there.
We must go in.
Alright, what are we waiting for then? Let's go in.
Do we have to?
Lots of Iotum is lying in there waiting for us to take. I mean, Beretta is going bananas over this.
Yeah. Bananas. Yeah, sure. It's just it doesn't feel right.
So then,
What about it
We
doesn't
shall go
feel
left.
right?
What do you feel, Nopalzine? Because I feel the opposite.
Everything around this place is quiet. Still, it's dead. Maybe they're. Sorry, I'm just used to having everything move. I've never been in a place where nature seems to stand still.
Well, no.
Maybe we'll
you-
find answers inside.
Your experience is much appreciated, Nopalzine. That is why you are here. But could this not be expected that this is literally a new territory for all of us?
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I gotta get my head together.
it's okay. We are going in together, and whatever comes to face us, we'll face together. Now, there may be something that's beyond any one of us, but all of us together, I think we'll be able to overcome it.
Yes, exactly what as Harun says.
Exactly.
Right, what Harun says.
I
Okay.
got a lot of knickknacks here anyway, if you need anything.
See, we are all well prepared.
Exactly.
Just imagining at any given moment, like Craven just has a bag full of explosive and or not quite safe materials on his person.
Don't give him explosive. He will throw it out like, boom, baby, I am the dynamite.
I'm a dynamite, y'all. I'm a
Note to self,
dynamite.
never let an explosive cipher go to Craven. You must remember this. Or let all explosive
Or do
ciphers
it.
go to Craven is the takeaway. But do you begin to enter into this temple?
Is it dark or
Right
you
now,
said there was like
it's
a hallway?
the light. Think of it this way: imagine like just an average dark hallway. Like if you have some light, you're obviously like, if you have torches or light or any other means of emanating of causing illumination, it lights up some of the area. This is built for. This feels size wise like take the average human and it was cropped up to about like 6-7 stories tall. That's the top of the first layer of this place. All of the other boxes
Okay.
that are, again, as you're looking up, they're just faintly shifting and turning and then sliding back in and forth, and occasionally will shift around in very strange but very particular patterns.
Let me take point, because if anything does try to lash out at us, I probably am best to jump out of the way. If any traps trigger or anything comes after us. So,
I love your attitude, sounds so much. It's like I love that mentality. But the hallway awaits.
As we begin walking into this hallway, Adawan would like to just start drawing and start looking, focusing and looking into all that there is here. Just like the floor, the walls, and also start drawing together, just trying to piece, like going into their just data log essentially of information, and just also trying to figure out a little bit of is that sunlight also still here inside, as I focus using the scan ability.
I was starting to think, I was like, wow, that's just very clever thinking out his experience. I was like, oh, no, wait, he's actually also doing an ability. I had to think about that for a second.
Yeah, I'm also doing that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm also
No,
doing that because that's also like,
I'll say in the area, you are still seeing, just based off the scan, it doesn't penetrate very deep from what I recall. I think it's only like 10 feet or something like that. It's like 3 meters is the distance for it.
yeah,
But you are still seeing, like,
yeah,
what I think, given the difference between your background and Craven's background, you would probably have a sense that these materials look very similar to something like iodum. You aren't able to quite get all of the properties from it, but you do get enough properties to sense that this is a very reactive substance that seems to be focused related to illumination, and a couple of them might even be related to something like a discharge of electrical energy. It's very weird. Like they're illuminating, and it looks like most of them should be something related to like solar energy, but some of them also look like they're like yellow lightning.
Is it similar to like the things outside of this temple? Because I remember it was stuff like the grass, like, and other little bits of the path.
It's like a hue shift is probably the best way of putting it. It still seems quite similar, but this one, whereas the other ones felt like they had almost the touch of nature. These ones feel just a little bit more technological. Like if you're imagining like an evolutionary timeline, one set was a little bit more on the left. This one's a little bit more center and moving to right. Like you can see the mixture of nature and technology that's involved in it, but it's more towards the technological side of things.
Okay. Huh. This is... Yeah, this is all very similar to what was outside. Not quite the same, but there are definitely similar reactive and luminary properties to it. Which is also very fascinating, just to think that just the material used to build this is very similar to just the grass outside, and that's so fascinating.
There's no
Can you
way
tell
this
us
is like
more
grass.
of this theory?
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's so interesting.
Okay, so is it possible to scrape some off, like scrape some of this material off, or no? Or is it?
So Adawan is seeing this. This is a little bit below the surface ground that you're at. So this would be something that you'd have to like try and dig out manually, and this would be probably in the range of kind of like a scavenging task, especially since some of it, given Adawan's scan ability, you would know might function akin to iotum. This would probably be in the range of, I'd say, let me look at the dang old handy guide that I have for myself so I can see what I'm asking y'all to do.
Anybody have a pickaxe or something?
Yeah, it would probably be about a difficulty 3 intellect task to try and see if you could figure out what you could get from this.
Okay, let's take a chance then. Does somebody have a pickaxe or something to dig it out, or?
It's up to y'all. Check your equipment.
No, I don't.
I am afraid I do not.
I can try striking the ground with the glaive, but I'm not sure if it's actually be able to punch through.
I'm worried
Can
that you
you
might
just
snap it in
add a
half.
Scoop it up.
Well, here's a thought. Other people have tried to explore this place before us, right? As
Yeah.
far as we know.
Ju-
Maybe there's gear that's been left behind by a few of those people. We might be able to salvage some kit and come back, and you people who understand this sort of thing can do whatever it is you do, as long as you don't electrocute yourself or something. I don't know.
No, Pausing has a point. Maybe if we go further down, we might find a room or some sort of area where these, maybe some Numenera or other equipment that could help us.
That's a wonderfully morbid strategy, and I approve.
Morbid?
Morbid?
Everyone's like, this is practical, this is smart, this is morbid. We are great, we are looting bodies everywhere.
We are
If we're
going
taking-
to
If
die.
we're taking things from people that have already been here, I mean, they obviously don't need it anymore. It's no different than what a thunder lizard does when it stalks around and just nips around at the remains of things that are left along in the underbrush.
Unless we do see corpses, and then it could be something morbid.
Yeah, like a corpse.
Yes. But let us not think of this.
Or two corpses.
Let us go. Or
Three
yes,
corpses.
yes.
Maybe we should...
All right, no, Paul, let us go.
Oh,
Napoleon
no.
goes down and starts looking for tracks from other
Okay.
explorers.
Okay, so I'll put that intellect task. It's not necessarily a very difficult thing because the ground, up until it gets deeper into the temple, is still, it's not quite as technological or difficult to look through. So I'll put this at, it just requires a little bit of focus. So a difficulty 2 intellect task.
Okay. What is the lighting like in here?
It is, if you're staying on the outside of the temple and haven't really gone in yet, the lighting is still clear and things are perfectly lit. If you're going deeper into the temple, it's gonna start hindering your eyesight and you're gonna need some sort of light source. Otherwise it's gonna get a little bit hard for some of you to see.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the first thing Napoleon would do is light a torch. There should be 3 in the explorer's kit, which I have. So I'll light one, and then bend down and sort of like look in the dust and like see if I can find signs of human life.
All right. Let's
So it's
see.
an intellect task.
It's only a difficulty 2. This is kind of your bread and butter, and it's also
Yep.
like with the light currently going on. So long as you have a light source, it'll keep it at that. It would have been much more difficult, but right now
Yep.
it's just 2.
Would you say that a skill in navigation would apply or no? That's more about like finding the
Yeah,
way.
it's a little bit more about
Yeah.
finding trails as opposed to like looking directly for like what people have left behind. So
Cool.
let's see. That is a 13, so that beats it. Or that was a speed one, but and it works for the same purposes at this case. You would still pass it.
Speed?
Oh.
I rolled intellect.
Oh, wait, I did not scroll down one enough. That is my fault. Apologies.
Yeah, it's weird that Roll20 does that. I end up reading like like the other sessions. Like,
Oh, it's like
all the
some-
Well,
time.
no,
I'm like,
because I
"Oh."
rolled some before to set up our rollers so that our viewers could actually see what's going on. So I'm like, oh, you rolled a speed, but it still works. And it's like,
And
works. You, Pat, you're good.
Simon's
Do
like,
the thing that you didn't tell me to do, right?
Yeah, do the thing you
Okay.
didn't tell me to do.
Yeah, so I'm just like running. Nepal's just like running his fingers along the ground
Yeah,
and like
you do
sniffing
happen,
and trying to find.
you do happen to see various tracks going in, and they split off up until where your torchlight goes. You see that in the distance, while it's a bit of ways, the light that you, if we're treating it like torchlight, dim light radius of the light that's being given off, you do see that there appear to be a little bit deeper into this temple entrance 3 pathways that split off left, center, and right, where there are various tracks leading in those directions. And it's strange. A lot of them look insectoid in the appearance, which would not be weird given that Moscara,
Like mascara?
like Moscara, but some of them, the pattern for that, they're not stable. They're like almost like dragging, or at some points they look like they're just frenetic. And then in one way that it's happening, they look humanoid, like not Gus Walker, not Moscara, but it's so faint. And it's like it appears for 1 second, and then like 6 paces later, it appears once again. But there's no like movement between those 2 spots. It's just like it suddenly appears again, and it's very frenetic. And when the spots that do appear, like it's a few steps, disappears, then it's a few steps again. And they're not like clear walking spaces, they're just
Yeah.
going.
And there's no sign of like burrowing or
No.
anything tunneling. Yeah.
No.
So I think Nepalzine is like trying to head up with the torch, and his broadsword is like, I'm flavoring it like a makwawi, the club with the obsidian on the edges.
Love you so much,
Um,
Simon.
But that's the broadsword that he has. So he's got that in one hand and the torch in the other, and looking around. And I think he takes in the look, sort of the scene, and like I think turns back to everybody. It says, "There's someone's been here or something. Well, they're not mascara, but some kind of bug thing. I think they might be able to jump or blink. Do you know? You ever seen like a blink beast? They along the jungle floor. Sometimes they
Oh,
flick in and then they reappear a few feet
Ah.
away.
We used to
Yeah, they
have
have a
one of those in
propensity-
service.
There's this wonderful little nut that grows. I'm trying to remember the name, but if you grind it into a paste, it becomes this wonderful little smell that gonna attract them. I don't know if that's helpful.
That's very interesting. Actually, I've never heard of that nut. I'd I'd love to.
Yeah,
Learn
I
more
just need to
about
remember
that.
the name.
there is one more detail I'll say, since Nopazine, you would be like looking at the tracks and bending down. How far into the temple have you gone, actually, before I say anything?
I think personally, I think we would go like just start moving, and until we bump into like a sign of life or some tools that we were interested in or anything like that.
As you're tapping, you're seeing that happen. You're seeing the tracks and following all of that. But there's one point where it's like boom, 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 boom. Like it echoes in a way where it's almost like the floor panel, because you've seen it transition from this very dark, lively, fertile soil to becoming more technological and more like metallic plates. One section, it starts feeling hollow. Like it's not like full density anymore. It's like beneath perhaps even a couple of the plates that you're at. There's something beneath you.
I think he like waves somebody over, like, "Hey, there's
But
something down there. Haroon, give me a hand, maybe. Can we try and?"
let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, this I'm gonna put it at a might. It will be a might task for certain. I'm gonna put it at, because of how strong this particular substance is, it's giving a lot of resistance. So this will be a might task of difficulty of 4.
Okay.
Now, one of you can attempt. One or both of you can attempt this. You can be an asset to one another, and then if you can think of anything else that would help you to lower the difficulty, bring that up. But if you're just trying to like pry something open, it starts at difficulty 4.
Okay, so I will like to be. I have an edge of 1 in might, so I can definitely spend the effort.
Okay.
With less cost to us. So that's what I'm thinking about starting off with. I also have yep.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I also could probably take the might hit easier because I'm probably not going to be using it that much compared to speed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also have Muscles of Iron as one of my fighting moves as a glaive. For the next 10 minutes, all might-based actions other than attack rolls that you attempt have their difficulty reduced by 1 step.
Okay, that would definitely.
So I will definitely be
work
popping
here.
that.
All right,
what
Himbo.
does this look like as Nopalzine tries to go through with this, and then I'll see the result. Which,
All right.
with the asset, if Haroon is helping you, that drops it to difficulty 3, and then with your Muscles of Iron, that drops it to difficulty 2. So with that, yes, that will definitely work. So
Yep.
let's see, describe what this whole thing looks like, and then let's see what the result is.
So I think Nepalzin obviously doesn't. He's not good with tech. He doesn't understand how Numenera really works. As a glaive, I have an inability with crafting and salvaging it. And I think for the suggestions that they give you for what the glaive gets their power from, some of them are like, you're a cyber enhanced warrior, and some of them are like, you're a mishmash of things. I think Nepalzin is just like physically trained, like very physically fit. He lives out in the wilds of Hydrus. He's just like had to learn how to be as good as he can be without having Numenera, because he doesn't know where it's going to come from. He can't rely on that. He has to rely on himself. So like if he does have any tech in him, it's just like that was part of birth, or maybe like early phases of life, but now his adulthood is all like, this is all physical training. So when we see those muscles activate, it's like he's just like, it would be like a close-up shot of like him flexing, and like muscles are clearly straining. Maybe the ambient nanotech that's in sort of everyone and everything also assists. But for him, it just looks like just raw power, and like clearly he's straining, but like this is something that he does. Is like, I have to pick up this boulder and move it to get somewhere. I have to pick up this log to make the pathway clear. Like,
Yeah, it's less of a, can I get around this, or what's a possible option, and more of a like, no, I will get through this because I have to, because this is
Right.
what you do to survive.
exactly.
Roll that
There's sort
might.
of like a little desperation to it.
Roll that might. Difficulty 2 is what it's been reduced down to.
Okay.
So-
Might.
Let's do this.
Yeah,
It's
let's
been
do this. It's
difficult
Nopalzi
to-
being like muscly and like I will break this, and Haroon is providing whatever assistance he feels he can, and also attempting to like lift up one of these plates.
Would I be able to give him leverage with the glaive?
Yes, that's what you are providing as an asset. You are using the glaive to also try and like.
Just jamming it in there and like, yeah.
And the final result is a 10, which does succeed. You are able to successfully pry open one of these plates, and it's like everyone else is watching this, and it's just like, and the plate, with the amount of force you've seen Nopalzine and Haroon like straining to like lift this thing off, it should go flying. It just floats in midair.
I will poke it with the glaive.
It just, as you poke it, it's like the gravity suddenly returns to it, and it goes whoosh. But at the spot where the plate was, when you look down, there's illumination. It's blue and deep hues of purple. There's just like little starlights, but it's a massive cavern structure that just spreads out, and you can see very faintly at the edges of what your torchlight lights up, there's water down there, and there's almost like a rocky kind of beach.
So how safe do you think it is to just jump down there?
Oh, not at all.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, let's not. If it looks beautiful, it's probably dangerous.
You're not wrong.
Well, I'm sure we can come back down there.
Surprising to hear from you, Craven. I thought you'd want to be diving in there the first thing and ripping everything apart and stuffing it all in your pockets.
Hey, I'm not saying that I'm not in on it. I'm just saying he's not wrong. I'm into dangerous thing, you know. I'm quite a daredevil myself. Why do you think I'm just...
What's
What?
the depth? Can we see the bottom?
You don't see the bottom of the water. You see the top of the water. You don't see the bottom of the pool of water. Like, it's just water down there, and it's like...
Okay,
Like,
so
imagine
there's
it kind of
no-
like what you're looking down at is like the thinnest part of a funnel. Like, that's kind of the shape you have to imagine.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
it's like, from your perspective, it just looks like it funnels down, and then it opens up to this massive cavern.
But there is no like stretch of beach or something that
Like,
looks
you
like
can
we can land
see,
somewhere.
like, if you think of like the
from the
bottom of
funnel.
the cone as like a circle,
Yeah.
the half of it that's away from you. So if I'm looking at it, like if you're imagining yourself just looking straight ahead, the part that you can see, that part just seems to keep going on endless water in the direction from where you were coming in from. The other side, the other half of what that circle of the cone is, it looks like there's some, like, the start of that second half of the circle starts leading into beachfront, and then there's another opening somewhere down there.
Do we have rope? And is there any way to tie it that we can get down? Which that's the only way I would even consider going down there.
No, but I do believe some of us have some Numenera grab to maybe these this gravity Numenera can help us
I've got
you-
rope.
go down.
Ryan. You mean Ryan, yeah.
As a note, just as a reminder, this is just a slight rules thing to note for everyone. For Cypher, you get one use out of it. That was
Oh,
my
yeah.
mistake for just remembering.
Oh,
Cypher,
for
the
Ryan.
idea for around Cyphers is that that I'm going to be providing you, just so you know, this is full disclosure of GM to players. I will be providing bunches of Cyphers throughout this whole campaign.
Oh, okay.
Because the idea is that the Cypher, you only get one use out of it. So right
And
now...
that is the main difference between ciphers and artifacts.
Yeah,
Ciphers are more like
artifacts are
one
meant to
time
be
use.
something that's much
Artifacts
more
are like-
powerful and has way
Okay.
more charges in it.
Okay.
Like, think of a lot of ciphers as like a potion. Like, you
Okay.
get a really cool thing that happens, but you get it for one shot.
Cool.
Problem.
Well, if I'm going down there, I'm gonna and then Craven just approach the Paulzin and then makes his hands going like up, up, and then just lowers him down, and then just flops into his arms. He's like, "All right, carry me down, big guy."
Well, I'm flattered, but I don't know if we need to dive headfirst into danger right away. Frankly, I'm a little relieved that there's actually something natural in this whole place. That there's clearly like a whole body of water down here. If we somewhere else in the tower, there's got to be a way down there. There's got to be. It can't just be built on top of it with no stairways.
Also, there might be something in the
Of
water.
course, there isn't, but
There might be something in the water, like something that's either big, territorial, or hungry, or a combination of all those three. So
probably is. But we don't know actually. Is looking down at the water, does that look like it's natural water, or is this like an artificial pool?
It looks very much like just natural water. Like you can, if you want a little bit more detail about what you're seeing in the cave, this will probably be a roll. But from what your just preliminary glance at it, it looks
like
as best you can
torchlight.
tell because of just the faint torchlight, like it's just water, like just natural water.
I was just wondering if it looked like crystal clear swimming pool. Like
No, it is not crystal clear swimming
Yeah.
pool because
that's the danger. That's the danger zone.
I can see what is going to kill me.
Right. So I think Nepalzin like looks down with the torch and like, well, yeah, there's probably something living down there. Assuming that it's natural water, there's probably a few small fish, minnows, eels, some natural algae, kelps. It's probably fine. But not knowing the size of it, there could be crocodiles, barracudas, pikes, all kinds of other things down there. Let's table this. This feels like a lot. And we don't even know what else is on the ground floor of this whole place, too.
Y'all have barely even actually gone into the temple.
Right.
This is just the first, like, this is the anteroom. And there's 3 hallways from what you can see left, center, and right that seem to be heading off deeper into the temple.
let's try a rock test. We'll take a rock from outside, drop it in the water, see if anything reacts.
Oh, we'll definitely piss off whatever's down there.
And whatever's down there, then get up here.
Well, we'll just put the metal plate over it.
Depends. There was one octopus I saw in Hydros that had tentacles that could sort of extend almost infinitely. It just wrapped out, grabbed things from the shoreline while it was even deep in the sunken pit, but I don't
Okay.
know if it made its way all the way over here. I don't know if they have those out here.
Nepalzin, here's what we can do. Me and you can hold the metal plate. Someone else drops the rock in. If there is something like your Doom Octopus, we just drop the metal plate on the hole. Problem solved.
I can drop the rock. I wanna see some tentacles.
You know how everyone associates the bard with being the one who causes trouble for the party? It's not the bard, it's the wizard. It's the wizard who's the tinkerer. But it's up to y'all. Like, if you want to do that, you can. Right now, you're just like a group of
Nepalzin's just backing up with the torch, like,
just like,
all right, look,
I see you. I see
whatever
you.
you want to do, you can have your little fun experiment. I don't know from science, but I'm here to make sure that we all don't die. So, in my professional opinion, I don't know what's down there. It could awaken whatever is swimming around if it is big and dangerous and nasty. Or it could just be a bunch of little minnows swimming around, and you dropping the stone in throws off them and their feeding patterns, and we disrupt the ecosystem. Not any more than we would have normally, but I mean, we're
That
all
would
sort
not
of
be good.
disrupting it because someone's come through and built this tower, and I'm having a moment. He steps back.
Okay. Let's just let this be. And if anything, if we find ourselves running from any of those hallways, this can be a convenient escape to jump down into.
I'm not stopping you from dropping a rock if you want to drop a rock. Like you,
Yeah,
y'all live your life.
I'll put it this way: does Craven drop a rock, or does anyone else like drop something down?
Yeah, Craven already does it. Like once he said it, he's like, "All right, I'm dropping a rock."
Okay.
Takes a rock, dropping it.
You watch as the rock drops. As it falls down, it sounds like it should hit the water. But now as you're looking down into it, the rock's right there. As in like if you imagine this is you, the top part of my hand is you standing like this, looking down. The rock should be like multiple feet down below you. The rock is right here, almost like it landed like an inch away from you. Like the perspective of this makes no sense.
What?
It's suddenly
Not on glass,
This is
right?
what?
No,
Did
you're
it-
not on
Like it's just like hovering.
But
no, it's just like and you heard us like a very faint like splash
It-
sound, like it hit water.
Oh.
I heard it land, but I do not understand.
I got an idea.
Uh,
Let's see.
Throw a heavier
Is there-
rock.
Is there a stick nearby?
Yeah, you could probably find someone on the ground and such. It's just a little bit of ways into the temple. Again, I will repeat, you have not gone very deep in
Oh,
this temple.
okay.
This is the front door.
This is the session where just like in the first 3 feet of this temple, this is what this episode is
This
gonna
is
be.
why I don't
Be the
need to
gazebo
plan
story.
very much, because this is my favorite
Listen,
thing about
you-
the
playing.
this-
anteroom.
yes. Listen, we're exploring here, and we have to explore the front door before we take the second step in.
Numenera's about discovery.
The discovery of the anteroom of a temple.
It's not like there's several other floors or rooms.
No, this is it.
This is a bottleneck episode, and I didn't intend for it to be it, but I'm okay with that.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab a stick and I'm gonna poke it into the hole. See if, like, I'm gonna poke it into the hole next to the rock, not hitting the rock, next to the rock. See if it makes splash sound every time I poke it.
It doesn't reach the water. But once again, it's changed. The stick that you're pointing downwards, it's changed direction, and it's like it's coming at you, and it stops like at the same spot an inch before to the left, and away from you the same way that the rock is.
Let's move
Okay.
on. This
I don't like
clearly-
that.
Yeah.
Wait.
I-
One, you have something.
Yeah, Ottawan, because I think Ottawan had something
Yeah.
to say.
I was just thinking about like the way, just thinking about it, just reminded me of the way that if you were to look at water as you dip something in, the displacement, the visual displacement that happens as you look if you look at an object being that's sort of part way in the water and part way outside.
As the GM
just-
searches her research descriptions.
No. It is
but-
not that.
But as I that's just like, interesting, and wondering if there is some sort of thing happening here. I mean, there is obviously something happening, but trying to figure out more of the properties of what's happening as I just sort of like imagine like just going just like, okay, so this is what so just drawing out, like almost like you just see images drawing out as ideas just start flowing of like figuring out, okay, maybe it's like, no, maybe it's this way. It's just like as I then reach out and I'm going to attempt another scan to see what kind of
this-
energies.
This is going to be, because of the nature of the material, a intellect roll of understanding Numenera at 5. This is
Damn.
a
Okay.
very
Yeah,
actually
that makes sense.
yeah, it's 5. This is like, you've seen old tech. This is weird levels of physics breaking perspective shift stuff that it's a little out of your jurisdiction.
Yeah, I thought my teacher was weird. This is something else.
Also, I'd
Oh,
like to say thanks at this moment to Daddy Issues for joining the group, and also echo the sentiment of Bude RPG of I love nothing more than watching players testing and examining rooms of a dungeon. I love it as well because it means I don't have to do anything to cause chaos.
Oh,
It just is.
DM,
Alright,
I
so-
got something that might help.
Okay.
I don't know if this can. Yeah, I don't know if this can help. But anyway, this is the thing.
Let me take a look there. Mechanical sense. You can sense within your sectors where its presence is not obvious.
Or
Let's take-
location.
You definitely, this is very much like, this is not even just construction of the whole place. There is active elements of Numenera. Just, and it's not even like a singular piece of it. It's like, imagine if you were like panning for gold, like and sifting through stuff and finding just gold fragments. This feels like just little integrated pieces of shards of Numenera that have built together to coalesce and make some weird like collection of things happening in this subterranean room. I will say, if you are attempting to do that to help Aerowen try and like understand this, that will lower the difficulty from a 5 to a 4.
All right, I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
Can I have?
And I am trained, so that makes it down to
A
a
three.
3. And then I'm going to expend a level of effort
Okay.
to bring it down to a 2.
Also, the sentiment of the session is Numenera gonna Numenera, as Bude RPG puts it. Okay, so let's see what that one was. Effort, the roll, it beats. Sadly, that's only a difficulty because you brought it down. What was it to 2? Wait, you brought it down to 2, right? Because you were at 5.
Yes.
You had the asset, and then you're trained to 3,
trained.
and then so that is a success.
Effort. Yep.
Yep. It was just barely a success, but
Yeah, but you know, success is still success.
counts. It counts. You start just scanning. It's a short amount, and you can't get necessarily because the scan is a limited ability or range, but
Yeah.
it very much, and it takes a moment. I'll say that this will have no negative repercussions. Do not worry when I give this description, but it takes a moment of you having to reach your hand through to let out the sort of blue, because it's concentric circles and all of those sorts of designs all across your body, right? You reach out for a second
Yeah.
and through the hole, and you feel like space. Like you feel like there's some distance between, like the way that visually it's lining up, there's some space there, but it's also visually you're seeing like your hand coming through back at you as you're doing that, and you get the sense, to use my often employed phrase in D&D contexts, you get the sense that this room is built off of kind of a mixture of perspective shifts and almost like illusory Numenera. The idea is that it is that if you were to fall in, there would be an actual fall to the bottom, but to anyone looking in here, they're going to be seeing what you would surmise is you falling to the bottom of that pool of water. It is weird. This is weirder than some. You've had usual levels of weird. This is weird even for you.
Yeah.
This is also the point where I'd like to offer you a GM intrusion.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so that's 1 XP to you and 1 XP to give to someone else of your choice.
Let's give it to Craven for aiding me in this.
Hey, thank you.
You start hearing and you look up. A couple of the plates all around you, they seem to be shifting. They seem to be lowering and then dropping down. Like some of the ground beneath you is beginning to fall out.
Oh, we should move.
Do we notice this as well, or
Aerowen took the intrusion. I will say that I'm going to ask for a speed defense roll from everyone.
Fair and reasonable.
It will be a difficulty of 3, but given that Aerowen succeeded on this, I will allow his success to work as an asset for all of you. If he had failed, it would not do anything for you. You would be discovered, you would not know what's happening, and the plates would start falling down. But because you succeeded, you like have a couple of seconds where you hear it, and then it's like the horrifying realization where you're like, oh no.
what's the difficulty?
It is a 3. Speed defense of 3. However, you all have an asset because of Aerowen's roll.
So that drops it down to a 2.
So it will be a 2 for everyone. If you can think of something else that will help you.
I have training in running and jumping.
That will work. That will lower it. Well, are they 2 separate skills or are they one skill?
I wrote them out as separate skills. I think the glaive or the lives in the wilderness. It's one of the two that's like you get training in all of this stuff.
Okay, so that I'll allow that to be one skill training that applies.
Yeah.
So that will lower yours from the 2 that it was because of Aerowen's help to a 1. For everyone else, right now you're still at a 2, unless you can think of something. I think I saw Haroon was indicating wanting to speak.
Danger sense.
I will say danger sense in this. This is you are at full. You were at danger sense. This is full Spidey sense. This is everything is going off right now. So
All right.
for you, because of that, that'll lower it down to a 1. So right now, Nopalzine is at 1, Haroon is at 1, and everyone else is at 2. So let's see what that is.
Oh.
Aw, buddy.
Wow. Harsh.
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay, so right now we have. So Bram passed that. So rather Ada passed that. So, oh boy.
Okay.
Okay, so pretty much from what I can see so far, I don't think I've seen Cravens. Oh no, wait, sorry, I did see Cravens.
right.
That's
Question.
so. Let's see. We have
So-
Nopalzine. That's a pass. Haroon. That's a GM failure. That's a crit fail. Craven. That's a pass. Bram. That's a pass.
I still need to go. But so when you say it's an
Oh,
asset,
Sorry, that was Haroon, not Hanan. That was my bad. I was
oh,
mixing
that's
up people's
fine.
name.
When you say it's we get an asset of 1, do we change that input value to 1, or do we just remove the difficulty to 2?
I would say either one will work. You could put it
Okay,
at
so it's
you
one
could-
or
you
the
could-
other,
You could
it's
set
not-
it at a difficulty of 3 and say you have an asset of 1 because Roll20
Yeah.
allows you to do both options. I've just
Okay.
been saying like this is what it would be for folks in that, but really
Gotcha.
it's up to you and how you want to input it because I can see the
Okay.
logic for doing either one of them because it
Okay.
could be something where it's like this is like a difficulty of 6 and I need like 2 assets
think-
training and
'cause-
like so much to get it
All right,
to work.
because right now I put it at the difficulty as 2 because there's no like back
Yeah,
button.
so it'll
don't
but that's already including the fact that it was starting at a 3 and your assets included. If you put it at 3 and then noted an asset, it would do the same thing as just putting it in as a 2. As far as I can
Oh
tell.
no!
Oh, there are 2 GM intrusions.
Ooh.
Oh boy, let the chaos commence, everybody. So,
I also have a minor effect for my 19,
okay,
which might be able to.
it will offset.
It probably won't stop.
It won't
it from
stop the
happening.
intrusions. I'll say
Right.
it'll let you add an effect to yours to help someone else based off
Yeah.
of what these intrusions are going to be.
That's what I would like. Yeah,
Okay,
hit him.
so hit me.
Hit me.
So, Haroon, you, because it was Haroon and I think it was Hanan both H names.
Yeah,
Failure
I just
is-
realized how close
Yeah.
our names sound.
Yeah.
So
The power of destiny is introduced as made it so. Make it so. I'm glad you understood that reference, Jim. So the two distinct intrusions I will offer to you. Well, not even offer, that I get to have just for free because your crit fails, because crit for the GM is, you know, the Wile E. Coyote effect where he goes off of a cliff and is just sort of like hanging in air, and then he looks down and it's like,
yeah,
yeah, that's the first intrusion. You both, it's just too late. Aerowen tries to help as best he can, but the moment he gives the, you see, both of you seem to have unfortunately landed on two plates that are already starting to like fall down.
Uh-oh.
So that is the
Okay.
first intrusion. The second one is that as you are falling, which this is I will describe what it looks like for everyone else, but for you two, you just feel like you are falling and you are about to land in the water.
okay.
For everyone else watching it, you don't see them move. Like, they look like they have the like free fall, like physical body posture, but they just look like they're just perspective shifted so that their feet are where you're looking directly down at. But for them, they're falling. And because we had another crit fail, you notice that the flickering lights that have dotted the walls of this cavern, you see, let me make sure, yes, Bude RPG, like when someone is falling in a movie with really bad blue screen effects. It's a perfect description of it. Let me double check the stats on this real quick.
Oh,
Lovely.
You see a small swarm of moths, some that are red, green, and blue, and some of them are very hard to describe in color. They look like a sickly green yellow. Go
Gatorade.
Yeah, like Gatorade, like off yellow color.
Okay.
You are, unfortunately, because of how quickly you fell through and the timing, this whole swarm just they all start biting down on you as you fall down.
Oh,
So that will be, they only deal 1 point of damage. If you have any armor, it will do nothing to you.
yes. I do have one armor.
So it does land, but I'm going to say for the additional chaos effect, because why wouldn't you want to have some more chaos added into this?
Sure.
I would like you both to roll me a d20.
Just a d20.
Just a d20. Okay, that is a 1. It's not all bad,
going
I
well.
swear to God. I know 1 for most people is like, well, the world has... I have been cursed for my hubris, apparently. I don't even know if Hanan's ever showed hubris.
Well, this is double ones.
Let's see.
Think of a phoenix down in the backpack.
I accept my fate. Take me as you will, Lord.
Harun, I also
Oh.
need 1 from you as well. Roll a d20.
I think Harun is MIA
Oh,
briefly.
okay.
Uh-oh.
So
I see
we'll get
the
to that in a moment. Hanan, yours will be an interesting effect, and then we'll see what Harun's effect is. But if Harun is back, just need a d20 roll from you, Harun.
Don't be me, Harun. Don't be me.
You're muted right now, Harun. As a
Yep.
heads up.
Difficulty is going to be what?
There is no difficulty.
Just-
This is
just roll a
the GM
D20.
intrusion. Just roll a d20 for me. I promise. This is an effect of being stung by the moths.
Okay, so we're gonna roll 1d20.
Don't
Speed,
believe you.
speed test.
I swear to God, Gem playing with me in 5e, like their assumption is that if I ask for anything, it will be terror incarnate or something. So
It's just a flat roll.
It's
There's
just a
no-
flat roll of d20.
Yeah.
It's
There we
not
go.
anything special added to it. So your roll was going to be a 5.
Oh, whoops.
It'll be the first one. Don't worry. It's a 5. So let's see what effect that gains you. Oh, you both get the same one. This is interesting. So you both feel the stinging affect you, and I believe that Hanan has the like ward shield sort of effect that gives you the
I do.
armor. And Haroon, you also get it. The damage doesn't seem to get through, but as you're in the presence of these moths, you feel this faint little bit of energy just emanating off of them and get taken into your bodies.
Oh.
What is a skill that you are trained in, or what is a skill that you are not trained in? Either one of those.
What a question.
Oh, that's such a deep question.
Yeah.
Just it does not matter what it was. Also, I appreciate Bude is just voicing the whole group's opinion of do not want.
Okay.
No, Bude it me, like the whole like
Also that. Also
rolling
that.
bad. I'm like, yeah, that's
But
me.
Haroon, what is a skill that you are either already trained in or you are not trained in? Just either one of those.
I am not trained in initiative.
Okay. You feel a just sudden increase of agility and speed, and just this almost preternatural sense just be taken into your body. You are trained in initiative for 1 hour.
Okay.
Hanan, what skill
I-
would you like? Just pick one at random.
Okay. I'm just trying to.
Swimming.
Was hoping I wrote everything.
Swimming.
Swim.
It's not bad. It's not a bad pick.
Yeah.
Moth lore.
Moth lore.
Getting rid of moths.
I would like to be trained in Mothra, so that I can summon Mothra to my command at any time.
I think you need a pair of you need some twins for that.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
You got 2 H's, we're close enough.
What's the easiest way? Just look at the skills. Is
Just
that
tell
my-
me, what is a skill you're trained in, or a skill that you just have no training in? Like, it doesn't matter. Just make up something random. Like, it could be
Yeah, because there's no like
there's
skill
no
list.
there's
in
no
the game.
full skill list. There are a huge compendium of suggested skills, but a lot of these are pretty open.
Oh, okay.
So just pick one at random.
I am untrained in. I'm trying to think of Hanan.
Beatboxing.
Boom.
A for effort.
A for effort. I'm not trained in any athletics.
Okay, you feel just a strange sense. You have almost like a Matrix X moment where like your eyes just close and you're like, I know kung fu.
I
But
know
you-
kung fu.
Essentially one of those moments, but you have more. I'd say it's almost like an increased perceptual awareness of your own body now. You have a
Okay.
sense of how to gauge, how to time jumps, and how to avoid things. You are trained in running and jumping for 1 hour. So treat that as just a skill. You don't need to write it down, but just remember for your own personal notes.
Okay.
As you're welcome right after the speed defense roll to see how you fare with this landing. It's going to be, it would normally only be a difficulty of, let's see, let's put that at a 3, but because of your situation, you are both hindered, so it will be a difficulty of 4 because of how bad the situation is going for you right now. You're welcome to ask and think on your past experiences to see if you recognize anything about these moths after you deal with the whole falling down into the cave.
Former circus performer. So,
And would it be
Right.
possible? Oh, okay. Well, let Haruun go first.
sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Former circus performer. So would that help me in any way, shape, or form?
I would say that'll get rid of your hindrance as you have a pretty good sense of your own movement and ability, so it'll get it back down to a 3.
Speed test?
It's a speed task. It's a speed defense task, I will say.
Can I use my training instead to help Hanan?
I will allow that. So that will prove an asset to Hanan, so that'll reduce their situation. It will get rid of the hindrance. So right now, unless without doing anything else, you're both at a difficulty of 3 for your speed defense rolls.
Okay. And I'm gonna
Okay.
spend.
Would it be possible to use a cipher?
I would say yes, if you can think of something that would help you in this situation.
Well, I would like to use. I also have something along the lines of like a gravity nullifier. So I think I would like to activate it, and if not fully like have me float, then at the very least break my fall.
I'll say that'll reduce the difficulty down another step. It will expend it, but it will
Yep.
it will have a big impact, and I'll say the radius of it is enough that it'll reduce the difficulty for both of you.
Okay.
Instead of doing it 2 for yourself, if you're using it to try and help both of you, it'll reduce the difficulty 1 for each of you.
Yeah, I want it for one of each of us.
Yeah. So right now, with all of your training and such, it's a difficulty 2 speed defense task for both of you. Also, the rest of the party is just watching. This is just like weird. Like they don't seem to be falling, but they also seem to be kind of yelling and screaming in terror. It's a very strange sight.
Aerowen is trying to desperately, like, really quickly explain that they're actually falling and they're not here.
Harun, that is a success with a roll of 13. That'll do it. Roll of 13. That'll do it. You actually would have beat the original difficulty, but you never know how these
You never
rolls-
know.
You never know. So
No.
I will not describe how this happens. Please explain to me, Harun, how do you help Hanan get into a position to help you both deal with this fall
So, as we're falling,
as
Take
you're
out the-
falling?
As we
as we're
fall.
falling, take out the glaive, spin around a little bit like a helicopter blade to slow myself down a little bit, and then stick it out under their feet, balance on top of it with my feet, and basically help straighten them out. And then take the glaive back and try to land pinpoint on my feet, as if I am leaping off from the crow's nest in the middle of the big top 10.
Oh, I love that image. It's just like if we're watching this from like a camera and it's like a movie shot scene. It's just like an after image effect of you see the cave and you're falling down and it's like a deep inhale of breath and you see you're back at the top of the crow's nest. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
and then Hanan, how do you? The ciphers, they tend to have descriptions, but I'll let you flavor it whatever it looks like for Hanan's particular version of the gravity sort of wealth disruptor and what it does.
Yeah, so instead of like any type of disruptor or thing, I think it's in like the form of like some sort of like bangles that are on both of their wrists. And so just on pure instinct, they kind of like bang it together and it activates it. And it just kind of not just purely just floating in something, but like I guess they pause for a second as they grab onto Harun, and then it just becomes like this, like just a slow descent.
Teamwork.
Makes the dream work.
You avoid any damage from the fall, which it would have been, I think, about 2 to 3 points of damage to whatever your stat, to your speed stat, I think I would have made it actually to your speed stat in that one because it's a speed task. You managed to avoid it, but it is really weird. You are floating on the top. You are like waiting on the top of the water, and it's deep enough to hold you. But if you take a look down, like if you peer into the water, you see Aerowen, Nopalzine, and Craven.
What? How is this?
That's not even a little.
I wave at them to see if it's like a legit like vision or.
Nopalzine has dropped the torch and like shoves his face in the hole. Like, hey, are you guys okay? Are you cool? Are you? Oh, this is.
Does it look like his head is popping out of the water then? if
No,
he's doing that?
you see Nopalzine's head at the top of the cave.
Oh, okay.
Let me put it this way. This is the most MC Escher perspective weird shift thing you've had in probably a long time. Nothing about this room
If
makes
ever.
sense.
Wait.
Aerowen is just trying. Yeah.
It's
No,
not-
sorry. I'm just like.
Yes. Sir. Yeah. Aerowen is just trying to like explain the mechanics of like from what they got. Well, it's sort of like this weird perspective shift at the same time. It's like, but also, are you okay? It's also really interesting. I mean, what is it like down there? But also, are you okay? Is there anything in the water?
Hang on, we're gonna get you out of there. How can you? Do you think you can see how high the cave is? The whole. The distance. He's like waving his hands wildly.
I
It
don't.
was-
Yeah.
The fall was pretty. It felt high,
Yeah, it did.
but
All right.
I don't think even if we measure it, and like depending on the distance, like I think Kanan is kind of using an outdoor voice because
Yeah.
they're not sure of the distance.
It's
But I think even without measurements, I don't think they would even be correct.
Okay. Stay calm. I'm coming down.
Just be careful.
Wait, what about the rest of us?
We're just gonna get them out, or if it ends up being that bad, we'll just all go down there and we'll figure it out from there. I don't like having them where we're not, and then we have to do something. So he goes in his bag. I have
Okay.
I start with 50 feet of rope in my explorer's pack.
Yeah.
And from one of my other things, I think it's either rugged or lives in the wilderness, I got an extra 50 feet of rope.
yeah, that is.
So here's my thought.
Tell
I
me
want
your
to
thought.
tie those two together. Number one. Unless it just counts as like 100 feet of rope, which I think would be bananas and not likely. Tie the 2 together.
Okay, so you're saying that would be unlikely in a world where you're experiencing a perspective shift with water that had a fall.
Don't bring in this science fantasy logic into this whole situation.
How dare you use this?
Maybe it's a
fancy,
spool of like
fancy
monofilament
sci-fi.
rope. I don't know. Okay, so it's 100 feet of rope. Take that.
We forgot what genre we were in for a moment.
I did for a hot second. I mean, because I have a torch and everything.
No, that makes sense.
Nepal. Well, it's also funny because of what I would like to do to try and get them out of the situation,
Please
or like
tell
get
me
us
I'm
into
looking
the
forward to
situation.
this.
We last session I rolled a fun little item called a reality spike, and a reality spike is an immovable rod, basically from D&D terms. When you place it, the reality spike cannot be moved ever, even if activated in midair. A might action will dislodge the spike, but then it is ruined. So, I would like to take. Nepalzin would like to take the reality spike, jam it at the edge of the hole, tie the rope around it, and throw the rope down. So if it reaches them, they can, in theory, climb up, and they're only limited by their climbing ability. If it doesn't, we can get partway down. But either way, like,
No, yeah, that makes sense.
that's not going anywhere. Yeah.
No, it's not. As far as you can tell, it's not going anywhere. Is that what you'd like to do?
I think that's what I want to do.
Okay. You do that, and as you let down the rope, it's very weird for Craven and Otto watching this. Like, no pausing. If you take a look like down, just to make sure like you're letting the rope go down. For you, it just looks like what Hanan and Harun we're seeing. Like, it's a fall and then it's landing in the water, so you're having to let it down. It's about 50, 60 feet of rope, so I'd say somewhere in just starting to broach maybe the long distance, maybe a little bit between short and long distance. For Aerowen and Craven, it looks like Nopalzine just sort of let it all lie slack and loose, and it hasn't moved more than an inch away from you looking up here. Like, it just doesn't look like it's moving. But Nopalzine, you're feeling it like it's going down, and Hanan and Harun, if you look up, like,
We see it?
you see it. It drops down very easily. With the light that Nopalzine has, it is reaching you down enough, like it's spreading out. And it's a very, as terrifying as this whole setup that got you here was, it's very beautiful because as the faintest bit of the torchlight hits out, it's like a set of fractal patterns and light start emanating all across different aspects of the cavern. Like every little bit of those little fragmented shards of Numenera pieces are just flickering a little bit.
Anan, let me go first. That way, if something goes wrong or it snaps and I start falling, I can land better than because I'm used to falling. Does that make sense?
Yes, you as a circus performer. Of course. And I will also help try to break your fall if need be.
It'll be fine. I mean, things have gone wrong, so that means that we're due something go right. That's simply how math works.
Okay. Good luck. Oh boy.
You need light down there?
Yeah, it's echoing out, the voice. And again, it's really weird for Craven and Aerowen looking at this. Like, his head's not that far away from where he's looking down now. Like, it looks like he's looking back up at himself.
I'll be honest, Craven is tempted to just take the rope and just swing down like, wee! I want to check the caves.
I mean, we can go down there and meet them. That's
That is an option. The reality spike isn't, as far as I can tell from the original reading of the item, or the cipher, it doesn't stop functioning, really.
yeah. It just says it never moves ever.
Alright, you know what? Craven's gonna poke his head in and be like, hey guys, don't climb up yet. I'm going to check up on this sick cave, and then he just gonna slides down from the rope.
But
Oh,
Wait, so we are going to this cave after all.
Well,
okay.
Craven,
I guess you're gonna need some light.
Craven has decided to just slide down.
It is okay, Nopalzine. I can provide
Provide a dog.
and
Craven,
What's that sound? What's that sound from the cave?
It's just a random yipping. The moths. It's the moths.
The moths are yipping.
Craven,
Yes.
I'd like
that's
to offer,
interesting.
so we're enjoying the dog sound, but Craven,
Yeah,
I'd like to offer you a GM intrusion.
good, let's do it.
You start seeing another mass of light, like a swarm, beginning to head in your direction as you're starting to slide down the rope.
Ah, I see. Boy, oh boy, what do I have?
So, the intrusion I'm offering is that, do they take notice of you or not? If you accept it, you get the one experience in someone else, and the swarm suddenly draws attention and gets interested in the strange tinkerer who's beginning to slide down the rope of what you're realizing is about 50, 60 feet in terms of a drop.
I don't think I have any armor to even like cancel out the freaking damage, so
You can choose to, remember, you can choose to refuse the intrusion if you give up one experience point. As a reminder to everyone, don't forget that with the experience points that you have, if you haven't already spent them, you can always spend one for a reroll, 2 for a short-term benefit, and 3 for a long-term benefit. Just as a note.
You know
Plus
what?
your
Yeah,
playbook
I'm
and
gonna. I'm gonna take the GM intrusion, but while they're drawing closer, since I have the let's see, um, oh no, I already have all three. So I was thinking about using this and then maybe um taking out like a. Oh no, it's. Never mind.
No,
Yeah,
you
you
need
know
an
what?
hour of time in order to do
Yeah,
that.
I need an hour of time.
Yeah, falling down a
So-
rope is not an hour of time, unfortunately. I would love to give you that, but no. Just because
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to see what ridiculous thing Craven comes up with. Which new friend we're about to meet as Craven pulls something out of his bag. But
Yeah, no,
if you're
mind.
taking the intrusion, so you get 1 experience point, and you give experience point to somebody else.
I'm gonna give it to Nepalzid for providing this rope.
Whee!
Just go wee, storms coming. Ah!
So the swarm starts heading in your direction. And Haroon and Hanan, you probably would notice this before Craven does. This is why it's an intrusion for him as opposed to for you two. You're seeing this coming and it's happening, right as he's like, "Wee! Oh no!"
Oh no, oh no, oh no, no, no. Wait, these mobs didn't really hurt us, did they?
Well, they didn't hurt you. You saw that they did try and take bites out of you, but both of you have some kind of armor. Craven does not
I
have
don't-
armor.
I don't have one. You will think those tools he has around his body will count as an armor, but no.
Nope.
Okay.
So,
I don't know.
so for Craven, the swarm starts coming at you. You have. What is your reaction to this? What do you do? Because you're seeing this. They haven't reached you just yet. You have like a split second. What do you do?
You know what? You know what Craven's gonna do? He's gonna like let him just slide, like lock his legs around the rope, and then while he's still falling down to the water with his legs locking against the rope, he's gonna flail around like, get off me, please, please, no, not the bugs, not the bugs.
And in a far off settlement of Numenera, a man named Nick Cage suddenly feels his nose start bleeding for some reason. He doesn't quite understand why. So, Raven, because of this situation, I'm going to say it is a speed defense roll. The difficulty is only 1 to see if you can avoid being stung by these creatures. However, because you've chosen to fall down and just go freeform falling and flail, you are hindered, I will say, in this. So it's a difficulty speed defense of 2.
Alright.
If you would like to do anything to deter this, please let me know. But otherwise, it's a speed defense 2. These are not very scary creatures. These are just local inhabitants.
I already used my gravity changer earlier, so I don't have anything else in my bag. There's nothing in the magic bag, everyone, so yeah.
Some days you just gotta get rid of a bomb.
Hey, I'm success.
Alright, that's a success. Yeah, oh wow, that was a really good success too. So that would be a difficulty 4. So for folks who aren't used to the Numenera system, part of the way that anything combat related or damage related works is that I never actually, as the GM, roll to do attacks or anything like that. The players are always doing either the attacks to try and deal with the creatures or the defenses they employ to try and avoid damage from the creatures. So this whole violent swarm just comes at you like full miasma of the like plagues. Just comes at you. But in the midst of your flailing, some of them get scared off and are like, this thing is scary, this is very big, we're gonna get out of the way now. And you manage to avoid the swarm just peppering you with small bites.
Alright.
However, you were
Like,
still
"Ha!
falling.
Ha! Take that, Mounts! Oh, wait. No! And then he just quickly grabs the rope.
That
Just
is-
hanging like,
This will be a speed. This will be a speed defense roll as well. I'm gonna put this one at a difficulty of 3
Oh,
because of the rather intense nature of what is going on, and there's something you would need a lot of focus. And even people who are good at reacting aren't usually good at reacting in the middle of avoiding a moth swarm peppering them.
Oh boy!
That is a negatory. That so. In about the span of a few seconds, Nopalzine, Hanan, Adawan, and Harun, you just kind of watch your comrade, traveling acquaintance, just like, wee, ah, yay, no, and land in the water. You take 2 points of damage to your speed stat, and it's just like, it's less hitting something like the rocks or the sandy part of the beach, and more just the almost belly flop like pattern of hitting the top of the water, which for anyone who's gone swimming and fallen on one of those when you're not wearing a shirt, it hurts so much.
Especially since he's carrying around like having like these medals and tools around him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where it would have been like only like 1 point of damage, but all of the metal junk and gear is just like ow, 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 ow.
okay. So how do I put the damage?
So
in?
you just go to your speed stat and then just reduce it by whatever the amount that I gave you was. So that would have been about 2 points of damage.
Okay.
Is he on the ground now?
Oh yeah, he's on the ground. He's about 10 feet away from you. He landed far less gracefully than you and Harun did, given the presence
I think
of the bees.
Hanan will go to Craven and just check if he's all right.
Give it kinda, but yeah.
Oh, that fall did not look good. I am so sorry.
I will keep my eyes to the metaphorical sky and make sure they're not coming in for another hit. The moths.
I should have waited for the Paulson to come in. I should have pushed him in first.
Why are you trying to push in the person
Do
who
not-
could actively keep you alive?
Oh, do not push anyone. That is mean.
No, it's about surviving. You know those moths gonna like you better than I do. I'm all sticks and stones. He's all muscles and beef. Those moths better have him than me.
We do not know if they are violent or not, really. Nopalzine!
Craven, are you alive?
I'm alive.
okay?
Okay.
Barely.
Nobody do anything else.
I'm surprised I'm still alive, but hey, that's every day for me.
Can I look around and see if there's some sort of like entryway? Maybe use like my enlightened sight to see if there's some sort of
Is that a feature that you have or some kind, or is it just?
Yeah, it's an enabled. It's called enlightened.
Could you
I'm
post
just
that
I'm
back
just
up?
trained in perception tasks or like
okay,
anything
so
with sight.
Roll me an
So
intellect. It would be intellect of 3, but because of
Okay.
that is it trained or specialized?
it is a train.
So it would reduce the difficulty to 2.
Ooh, okay.
Okay,
Intellect.
so it's difficulty 2, intellect to C. Because I just imagine this is just Adawan and like Nopalzine are just like looking at each other. It's like, what the fuck do we do?
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh.
I was just like, what is this special?
so you rolled a 19, which in Numenera is a slightly less special version of what in other systems a nat 20 would be kind of be. It's the nat 20 exists here, but the 19 is you get a minor little effect that happens. So
Okay.
you do take in the scenery around you. The cave does seem to have another entrance
Okay.
that just carries on, and it looks like there's a cross X pattern on it. One of the bars is like fine garnet encrusted jewels. The other one is amethyst. And you see all around it is a circle with a sun pattern on it. That's what you just pick up just looking around. And you notice that the swarms are gone. But because of your minor effect, Is normally I'm trying to figure out like minor effects. They normally let the players decide what little additional thing would you like. So what other sort of element would you like included in the information you pick up? That way I'm not just automatically defaulting to here's the stuff you get. What other information do you think Hanan would be looking around in the area for?
Okay, so my initial reason to see was to see if there was another entrance or an exit that we can take.
Okay.
But I think the next, as for another effect, I guess I would like to see if I can sense or see any other traces of any other creatures or anything besides moths that could also reside in this cavern,
The subterranean
subterranean beach thing.
This mess we have found ourselves in, unfortunately, because your GM was not expecting two nat ones.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, y'all, I was not expecting that. That's why I love the system already. You do notice, I'll say the minor effect you get is the swarms seem to abate and head off another direction, but because of how well you were able to take a look around and because of your particular enlightened sight, your keen enlightened eyes, what do they see? They see there's a cluster of light that's a little bit bigger, a little bit away in the distance, like maybe about a long range away, that it seems like on the edge of where the boundaries of the beach are. The glow is the same kind of tones as the moths, but they're not moving. It just looks like it's a cluster.
Is that the same direction as the that little entrance that I noticed?
It's a little bit a ways.
Okay. I think I will convey that to everyone. Well, I kind of yell to Nopalzine and Aerowen because I still don't know the difference of the distance between us. So that includes like Harun and Craven as well.
Your call, y'all.
Okay. Does it look important?
It does. There seems to be a sun a pattern a sun pattern on it. It looks made, and there's like glowing lights. Actually, pretty similar to those moths we have seen.
There's
but
moths down there?
No, well, not anymore. They left, but that pattern, it definitely does seem to have some significance here.
Okay. It seems like we have a way back up and down. I think we should all be in the same place. We're coming down.
Yeah.
Napalzin goes into his explorer's pack. I want to pull out one of those glow globes that I have. It gives you 3 torches and 2 glow globes, which is, it's all like, here we go. And then we bring it around. Here's the sphere.
We have created
we do the
Numenera
hand.
rave. Is what we've done.
And then
the
we
glow
do
sticks.
Come on,
Yeah.
it's a cavern that's blue and purple.
Your
Nopalzine
GM did not
takes
expect
out.
this.
Nopalzine
Yeah,
takes
it's a
out
bisexual rave, and we have the little strobe light.
Yeah.
It's fine.
asexual.
It's so the glow globe, I guess, is like a glowing ball that illuminates in short.
Sorry, I'm just
Yeah, no, you
imagining
take your
the
time.
rave and like finger guns happening as part of like the freaking like glow stick movements.
Yeah, this
Carry
is how
on,
you
carry
activate
on.
it, right?
This is how. Just go.
See,
just
we
go.
have all
I'm
been
just
to
gonna be
the
laughing.
club.
Just go. Just go.
Yeah, this device illuminates everything in short range with soft light. It can hover in place on its own, or it can be attached to something. The minor glow globe lasts for an hour when activated. The major functions continuously. So I have two minors. So I'm going to take one and drop it, like we did with the stone, so that there's like a short range of illumination in the cave. And then I think Nepalzin looks at Adawan and is like, listen, I don't like this any more than you do, but I'm going to go down. You do whatever you want. I'm going down there because they're going to die without extra help.
I also want to go down. I also want to know what's going on here. Also, just wondering, as the glow globe has been dropped, does the light also stay right beneath the surface?
Oh yeah, it's really bright where both of you are
Oh,
at right
no.
now. It's just like
That's what I wanted to double check. I was like,
it's a very like, you know, like, I don't know what you're gonna do, but let's just go take care of it. Like that was all said, but it's almost like this kind of effect.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
But for Hanan, Craven, and Haroon, it's a light that's just drifting down through the cave. But for Nopalzine and Adawan, it's like the radiance of God is right in front of you. Like the aura of God is just like right there in your face.
Okay, so that's probably. Do we know it's Nepalsian? Do we see him drop it?
As far as you can tell, it's a very distinctly. You also hear that noise happening as that goes on. You hear. You would be able to tell the light is very different than the other ones, and given that it's right there, up on top, I'm not gonna make you like roll or be like tricky about it. You probably guess Nopalzine's doing something.
Okay, so I think they're coming down here. Craven, you're not bleeding, are you, in any way, shape, or form?
What?
You're not bleeding, are you? You did take a pretty nasty fall.
Even if I do bleed, I don't think I can feel it. Do you think I'm bleeding? I don't see any bleeding.
Do I see blood? Because apparently Craven cannot notice if he is bleeding.
We shall see.
himself.
And oh my god! Oh, that's what that sound was. I was like,
Yeah,
wait.
Maddie came through.
I was like, holy Christ! I just took a look. Oh my
hey!
god! So many games. Holy. Oh my. Oh my. So many games coming in with the 15-person raid. Howdy, y'all. Oh, me and Numenera. Oh, everyone. Hi, everyone. Death by Mage. Love you all. Yeah. You come in at an interesting moment of, I believe the scientific way of describing it is perspective fuckery. Might be our best way of describing this. As our group, half of our group is in a subterranean cave. The other half of the group is looking down into the cave and seeing their own feet, or seeing the feet and faces of their party not that far away from them. So, very weird. Things are weird.
I believe weird is the correct scientific term according to my notes.
It's just the smile that you have right afterwards. It's so self-satisfied as you say. But yeah, for the sake of brevity, is Nopalzine and Adawan, are you trying to head down?
Oh, I'm shimmying down
Yeah.
into this MC
Yeah.
Escher ass cave.
Yeah.
I'll say it will not be a roll in your case because there is no like threat in the immediate area coming towards you or causing you to like not take your time. Craven was the one who decided to just yeet themselves from the first floor down and ran afoul of the moths. But you come down, and now that Hanan has probably pointed this out, you do see that glowing cluster a little bit a ways.
Yeah, I guess I'd land and like wade out and fish the glow globe out of the water. And like shake it off, assuming it still works. It's probably waterproof. It's science fantasy. And use that to try and illuminate the area temporarily, like just sort of holding it up, drawing the Makwawit in the other hand as the offhand. So now instead of leaving the torch up at the top of this cave, it'll burn out. It's fine. So Nepalzin like walks up to the door and takes it all in. So clearly it's Well, he puts the glow globe down. He walks over to Craven and picks Craven up and puts Craven in front of the door, and then walks over to Adawan and picks up Adawan and puts them next to the door, and then picks up Hanan and puts Hanan next to the door.
Hey,
Pushes each of them forward.
watch your hands.
You three, figure that out. I'm the water. I understand the water. I'm gonna go look at the water for a second.
I can just
I trust the
imagine-
three of you to figure out how this magic door works.
I can just imagine like Paul's lifting up Craven and Craven's going, "Ooh, strong."
Craven's here for a good time, not a long time, is the vibe I'm getting right now.
He's looking at the water like, "Hey, Haroon, do you know Numenera? You figure that out too, maybe, or you can look for the. Were there moths? What's with the?
You're asking me science. I'm a circus performer. I do not live by science.
Cool. I can work with that.
So, wait, so just as a quick check, so you've left the three of them, and so Nepalzine and Haroon are near the water?
Yes, I think so.
Is it drinkable? What do you think?
I don't know. Let's take a look. So I'm gonna get down. Nepalzin gets down and scoops up a little bit in his hands and sniffs it. Looks around, considering in the back of his mind, ever since that bug was planted, that there's a large thing down here. Now that he can see how big this body of water is, I think he's very concerned about trying to theorize. You know, when your anxious brain turns on full tilt, and you walk into a situation what is everything possible that is bad that could happen to me in this situation?
Why are you personally attacking me?
Yeah, why
Right?
why you gotta drag me
Just
like this?
Why you
Simon?
gotta
Why you gotta do this?
make this personal?
Yeah, why?
I think Nepalzin has that for everything in the wild, for the nature of survival, but he's low key been able to manage it because if you get up in your own feelings about what if there's a giant monster that's gonna eat me, that thing will eat you. So he's worried about it and always thinking about it, but would like to be able to prepare himself
Yeah,
for it.
and but also this is also a scenario where in the previous context he was justified in having it. Here he has no idea whether or not it's supposed to be justified because this is just weird science shit.
Right. He's
this-
very out of his element.
Yeah.
He's a very unhappy boy.
So
poor
preview.
himbo.
So I want to give us some time for a break because we're going to transition to it. But I will leave you with something interesting. But well, actually, before that happens, are the three of you just taking a look at the door that Nopalzine has just put you in timeout to go look at?
Yes. There's
Okay.
a moment oh, and then right at the door.
Okay. Is that true for Craven and Hanan as well? You're just at the door taking.
Yeah,
a
I
look at it?
think under
Yeah.
their breath they're like, I do not like being himbo handled, and but does end up walking to, but remembers there's a sun pattern and definitely walks towards the entryway.
Craven is the exact opposite. He doesn't mind being.
Yeah, Craven's
himbo.
enjoying that himbo handling.
But anyway, yeah, the sun one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird, Hanan. I'll say this. I'll say three things, quick, because I want to get us over to break and give us time to just get up and do all that. One, Hanan, for you, as you're getting nearer to the door, that pull that you were feeling at the top of on the ground floor, it feels stronger. Just very faintly. It feels stronger. You don't know why. It just sounds the equivalent is just if the person who'd been whispering is now right next to you, saying just keep going. And for Adawan, let me pull up my notes real quick because I did have a specific thing set aside for you. Where was it? There we go. I knew I had to remember the exact words. The design for the crisscross patterns, it initially looked like garnet and amethyst toned jewels. But for Adawan, it looks more familiar. The pattern reminds you of a canopy of shimmering glass that you have seen before in your life. That is happening. Those two things are happening, those realizations, as some distance away, where that glowing light that no one's taken a look at, that's just been stationary,
No.
you hear
Nope.
chittering. You hear chittering noises.
What time is it?
Lovely.
Master o'clock.
And
That is where we were going to transition into our break, everybody.
it's end of session, right? We don't have to do with the shitter.
upstairs.
Yeah, possibly some of the things that you saw upstairs, that wasn't everything that was upstairs. Because some of them might have fallen. So
Friends.
Friends. Friends.
I like making new friends.
Do you like making bug new friends?
No.
What about the mascara?
Different bug friends. But
We're from the automatons.
while
Thank you
we're
very much.
transitioning into our break, I want to give a shout out to two different sources. One, shout out to Roll20. As we head to break, why not head over to roll20.net/start/WTTP and sign up for your free account today. Over 4 million people use Roll20's virtual tabletop to power their favorite games, and with modules galore on the marketplace, you'll definitely find something for your group to enjoy. And in addition to that, we have got to give thanks to our fantastic patrons, especially those of our wonderful, magnificent host with the most tier, including Jack C, Donald G, Nerdy T, Michelle E, Abigator, Anino, and Andy T. You, as Simon has wonderfully given me the phrasing for it, help us keep the lights on here and help us enjoy the fact that we do silly shenanigans every week and have great stuff. Thank you so much. Huge love to all of you. And we are going to take a 10-minute break. Thank you everyone who for the raid and those who are tuning in. And be sure to come back in about 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to try and keep it to 10 so that we can keep things going as our party ventures down and deeper into this forgotten temple of the old worlds and discovers what these chittering noises belong to. So with that, we love you all. Stay safe. Be back real soon. Now, let me just get us on over. I promise this will not take very long as my party does this. Stuff like that.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If you get a second during break, you should check out one of our amazing sponsors. We're now proudly sponsored by Roll20, the best virtual tabletop for all your role-playing needs. Over 4 million people use Roll20's virtual tabletop to power their favorite games. And with more modules than you can shake a stick at on their new revamped storefront, you'll definitely find something for your group to enjoy. Sign up today by clicking the link below or heading to roll20.net/start/WTTP. Tabletop Loot is an amazing place to get your dice bags, dice boxes, and more. And now you can get 15% off your purchase at tabletoploot.com by using the code WTTPDICE at checkout. Tabletop Loot. Your party starts here. While you're at it, check out our so awesome merch store, So Nerdware. So Nerdware is the place to find all your Welcome to the Party merch and other amazing stuff too. Head on over to sonerdware.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off your next purchase. So Nerdware. It's what the nerds wear. Devin Rue, the amazing mistress of maps, has kindly supported the channel since the beginning and provides graphics for many of our streams. Head on over to rueinc.com to check out some of the best fantasy cartography on the web. Our Patreon supports the creators and producers of the channel by providing Roll20 subscriptions, cost coverage for video hosting, and more. If you want to support the channel while getting podcasts a week early, gaming articles that are published on Patreon first, a shout out during our break, and more, head on over to patreon.com/welcomepartyrpg and throw us a $1 or $5. And last, but certainly not least, help out the party. Subs and bits not only support the stream, but also every 500 bits or a tier 1 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a reroll or system equivalent, and every 1000 bits or tier 2 sub gives a player or DM of your choice a crit or system equivalent. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. The game will be back in just a few minutes.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Alrighty, everybody. I believe if my astute production skills are not failing us in this moment, people should be able to hear us. And perhaps more importantly, they can see us. Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to session 2, or I guess depending on how this goes, episode 2 of Journey Through Aerowen, a homebrew, as Simon put it, Skyward Sword themed adventure world of my own creation that we're playing in the Monty Cook Numenera variant of the Cypher system. So last where our party left off, they had... I can't even be frustrated because this is what I would be doing. Struggled to get through the front room of a giant temple as they caused several nat ones and automatic GM intrusions. Caused themselves to fall into a subterranean cavern where MC Escher eat your heart out for how perspectives work in this, and nothing makes sense in it, where physics don't matter and the rules are made up, essentially. But the party has all convened down here, 3 of them beginning to look at the markings on a door, 2 of them very cautiously trying to look out in the water, and everyone now all of a sudden beginning to hear this slowly echoing, chittering set of noises beginning to appear as you look from about a long range as various creatures, about 2, maybe 3, begin popping up. Just, they look maybe, is it 7 feet tall? 8 feet tall? No, it's about 10 foot tall. Roach headed, it's like praying mantis headed with long antennae feelers, 4 arms, their bodies encrusted with various forms of gem shards.
Napalm. What's the word? Friendly, unfriendly?
That doesn't sound, that does
Unfriendly.
not sound friendly.
Nope.
Oh, come to disturb us. Who will fall like we did?
What did
Oh,
it say?
To think you kiss your mother with that mouth.
You
Said
watch.
by a mom's son.
You watch as one of them even hears that. They do have actually pretty good hearing. Hears that, and just there's like a fragment of gem shard just kind of embedded in its body that it just like pulls out. It just holds with one of the arms, and it just bites through it entirely.
Oh, wow.
oh, they're cursed. Great. Says Nepal's in. And with a look of disgust and terror on his face.
They
That's one way to get your minimus.
They all look very hungry.
Alright guys, is it time to start running or are we gonna go face this guy?
I don't think we have a choice.
I think we should take them.
That's the choice! We run or we fight!
Where are we gonna run to?
That
He
cavern.
gestures to the water.
No, there's that. Is there that cavern, or are they in the way?
They're coming along the beach towards you. Like imagine, so if you imagine it 4 points, like an X and Y axis, the
Yeah.
northernmost point is where the door is, where 3 of you are at. The like center 0 is where Nopalzine and Haroon are, and they are all about a long distance away, like on the far end of the top right quadrant. They're all a long distance away. These 2 or 3 like creatures you can see, they look very hungry. They look like there might be, even between some of their, I guess, pincers or feelers or teeth. I forget what insectoids have in terms of the
Yeah, those are
mouth feeler.
pincers, right?
Yeah, I think it's like pincers sort of thing.
Mandibles?
Mandibles.
That's the word, mandibles. It looks like they have maybe scraps of like very long rotted flesh, and it looks like there's bits of almost like maybe fecal matter or garbage that's in their mouths.
Scavengers, cool.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But they're
So
just...
you were talking about corpses earlier.
Okay, so
This is a case where you got a second before anything comes into it. They're starting to move close. They're moving from a long to, let's say, a mid-range, and they're going to get into short range very soon.
So while they're still at long range, I think Nepalzin drops the Makwawi, the club sword, and switches to the bow and just like fires a shot into the cluster. That's like, you're coming at me. I'm gonna lay into you. We'll figure this out as you come closer.
Okay. So, with that being the case, pausing, this will be for you, depending, I think it's because it's a range attack, it'll be a speed task to see if you can hit one of these creatures. There are currently 3 of them, and then after that, since you've just initiated this, it will be initiative and combat will have taken place. It will be kicking off, but I'll say because you reacted just fast, we get the 1 shot off.
Okay.
So it is
He's
a
just going for
speed. It is a speed task because you are going for range. A difficulty of 3.
Okay. And I have training with my bow.
So that'll lower it to a difficulty of 2.
I think the way the math works out on this, I'm sure the roll, it'll give me the roll regardless.
Yes.
But I think if I put it in as a difficult 3, it'll account for the fact that I'm trained in it.
We'll see. We'll figure that out. This is us also getting used to a new combat system as well.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah.
It does? Okay, so let's see what that roll was. That was a bow. That was a difficulty of 3. You were trained in it.
Got a
You
7.
rolled a 7, so that does break through 4 points of damage on this creature. So you can feel free to describe like what point you hit on it, and I'll tell you what happens as that kicks in.
So it's a bunch of these, or just 1?
It's three of these currently.
Okay, yeah. So I think Nepalzin looks up as Haroon's like, "Hey, is this cool?" Like drops the club, immediately unslings the bow in response, and like almost it's very reflexive for him. The way that he fights is like intuition, where everything else is a little unsteady. This is the one place where it's like very fluid. So it's very little wasted movement. Bow, arrow, notch, fire. I think it catches this thing, like one of them in like the shoulder blade or something. It probably doesn't slow it down, but like chunks in. And he's already reaching for a second arrow as he turns back to everyone and like yells like, "If you've got ways of defending yourself, you better get it ready, because these things are bearing down fast."
Yeah, you watch as the arrow lands in, and it does seem to damage it, but the armored carapace of its entire body, at different points where the crystals seem to have been fused to their body, it doesn't seem to do as much damage as you were hoping to. So it does, I'll tell you, it does 2 points of damage. You don't know what this thing's health are, but you get the sense it's pretty armored. So you kind of got to hit it hard in order to get through it. But with that being the case, now we are going to move officially into our first combat of the campaign. And the first time I've ever run combat in dang old Numenera. So before anything else happens, this is an initiative speed task. It's going to be a difficulty of 3 given the creatures you're fighting. The way this works is that on a success, you will act before the NPCs do. On a failure, you'll act after them. So, speed 3, unless you were trained in initiative, which I believe one of you just literally got training because of the moss earlier today. This is just straight up a roll for everyone.
Okay, so that would be me. How would I handle the initiative roll?
Alright, that's a success on Opazine, from what I'm seeing. That's initiative. Success on Aerowen. That's a success on Craven.
Sorry, what's
20 on
the
Craven.
Speed
what's
defense.
the-
So
Oh,
if you
sorry.
have no training or anything else or an inability, then it would just be speed task. Then
Kind of
Haroon,
special.
that
Oh, what's-
just beats it. All
What's
right,
the difficulty?
3.
Oh, yeah.
Because these creatures are, despite being kind of big and lumbering, they do seem to move with some sort of like erratic sort of speed
You
all
wanted
around.
to send the result of this roll to the. Oh.
So that's if we had a battle grid. If you had your token clicked when you did the initiative roll, it would add a turn to you to the combat tracker. But because we don't have tokens,
Yeah,
it
I'm-
doesn't do that. So
I'm
that's
kinda-
all that means.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Oh,
trying to
okay.
keep this a little bit like looser so that so it's a little bit more like collaborative, like cinematic sort of fighting. To take the term that I think Swordsfall loves to use for it, it's cinematic combat or something of that sort. But what is your role?
Do you see it?
Oh, there it
was
is.
a failure.
Yeah, so pretty much they have. I'm treating them sort of all as one swarm. They'll all take their separate attacks, but they're all going to have the same initiative. So basically, everyone will get a chance to act, except for Hanan. Hanan, you will act after them. So they are now, we'll say they're about a short distance away from you, is where they're at currently.
Okay.
So pretty much whoever, so Nopalzine sort of started it off. One of them has been hit, and it's noticed that the arrow got through, but it's quite strong armor. Who's going to take up the next round? And as a reminder, in terms of combat, immediate movement can happen as part of another action. A short movement will take your whole action. You get one action per turn unless you have some sort of training, like I believe like Fleet of Foot lets you take short movement as part of the same action, but you get either a movement or some sort of action using your abilities. You don't get both. System is combat here, and it's all based on what your rolls are going to be. So anytime the creatures attack, they're your rolls to try and avoid the damage from them coming into you. I don't roll anything, which makes this way less stressful for me.
PBTA.
Also, do we want to figure out Craven's major effect?
Oh,
Yeah, because
I
you
did not
Yeah,
crit
see
on
that.
the
I do got a
initiative.
major effect.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's... Yeah, let's figure that one out first. Let's resolve that first. So major effect, think of something extremely spectacular to happen in this scenario. Like, it could be something related to how fast you're able to react. It could be something about the terrain. It could be something about what you want to do with your next move. Or it could
I
be
was
something
thinking
that hinders...
about. I was thinking about maybe using my buzzer to like Craven looks up, sees like spikes on the cavern ceilings, and he's just shoot at it, and then one of them hits the creature.
Okay. We'll say how about this, because I think that would be a separate sort of roll to make that shot, but we'll say you're the only one of the group because of the major effect. You do see that even as they're moving closer within short range, even if they got into immediate range of all of you, there's a set of spikes of pointed crystalline spikes above all the creatures that are hanging quite loosely. If you were to take a shot at it, you might be able to dislodge them and go and pierce some of them. So Craven is aware of that. That is his major effect. He has that insight about the terrain. So that's what you're getting out of that major effect. You know something that maybe, just maybe, you could actually even lower their armor if you hit them with that. So that's Craven. But someone, does not matter who, we're going to keep this very loose just to keep it like more of a in the moment kind of thing. Someone, jump in. What are you doing? First reaction, the creatures are short distance away from you. What do you do? All right, Haroon. Haroon's jumping in.
Okay, so having fleet of foot, Haroon is going to draw his rapier named the Wit and get right into the thick of it.
Alrighty.
So,
Moving up.
with fleet of foot, that allows me the short movement and the attack.
Yes, so that would be either with your rapier, whatever the type of thing is. The difficulty will be 3. These creatures are quite armored, but we'll see if you can break through that armor and hit them, because they're moving somewhat erratically, and the 4 arms you're trying, while this is happening and being careful through it, you're trying to avoid as they're lashing out at you with the arms.
Can I add a little bit of a flourish to try to confuse them so that it's easy to hit them? Or no? Like,
Put that up in the chat so I can see what it does.
I'm thinking about using lies and trickery for this.
All right, we'll say I won't reduce the difficulty, but I'll say what it will do. How about this? It won't reduce the difficulty, but it will hinder their next attempt and make it easier for you to dodge something from them trying to attack you if you succeed on this. That will be sort of the effect of you trying to use lies and trickery, if that works.
Okay.
All right,
And
so
we are
difficulty
going into
3.
strike. I'm going to spend 1 effort.
Okay, so that'll be 3 points from whichever stat you're using to try and attack them with your rapier, with wit.
And my rapier wit, I'm going to spend 1 effort for the hit. I'm going to spend no effort for the damage because we're trying to be a little bit conservative here.
Okay, so so no effort being spent for the difficulty, but effort to do damage is what you're saying.
Yeah, so that spends 3 points. So there we go.
So that would be a roll that difficulty. You're trained and you use the effort. Yeah, that works. That manages to do 2 points of damage. So you're trying to do. So just a clarification for my sake, was the effort spent to lower the difficulty or to do the damage? Because you have to pick.
The effort was spent to lower the difficulty. There was an option to spend effort separately to do damage.
Yeah. Remember though, at your level, you can only spend effort once.
Yes. So
Okay.
I only spent I spent the effort to make sure I hit.
You managed to land successfully a blow on it, but wit doesn't seem to pierce through the armor deep enough. It's like it hits, but the creature just like screeches directly in your face, and it doesn't seem phased by that.
Little do you know, that's but my opener. I assure you, things will get a bit more dangerous. Guys, help.
Like, help. But I'll say again, because you were trying to use lies and trickery, we'll add the flavor onto that. It will hinder their next attempt to try and take an attack on you. So that's Haroon, Adawan, Nopazi, and Hanan. Anyone up next? While Haroon is doing the short movement, flourish, rapier. Who's next?
And they're on the shore at this point.
They're on the shore. Like you're all on the shore. Like if you treat just the main x-axis as like where the boundary roughly of the shore is, they're just on the far right end of it, and they've been coming closer to you. Like they're swarming up. But they're still like right now at a short range. So it looks like it'll probably take their whole movement, and their whole next action to get up into the fray with all of you.
Okay.
I think I too have fleet of foot. So I think what Nepalzin would do is, now that they're sort of on the ground and not just like at a distance, drop the bow, scoop up the sword, and try to close the distance. I don't know if in this game you can draw like a shield as part of the attack as well.
I'm gonna let it. I think this system kind of encourages a lot more fluidity with it.
The like dramatic
rule of cool. I'm gonna let you do it
Okay.
anyway. So because
The shield's, like, slung across his
dropping the
back,
bow
yeah.
is not like an issue. That would be the equivalent of like a free action. So I'd say like it's a fluid movement for both. But wait, is your weapon, is it a heavy weapon or is it a medium weapon?
It's a medium weapon.
Okay, then you would be able to do that. If you're a heavy weapon, you couldn't do that because a heavy you need both hands to use it.
Right. So
So
drop,
that would be
drop bow.
would be the limit. But dropping the bow and getting the shield and everything up, I'll
Yep.
say that's fine because you have the fleet of foot, so you can get up into the fray with them.
Yep. So he's going to close the distance, and then just front line, like you're not moving past me. Haroon's over here, I'm over here. Bugs, people behind, not going to happen. Smack.
The wall of himbos.
Yep.
It's just two flavors of himbo acting as tanks. We have the off tank and the front
It's a
tank.
spectrum.
I love this so much. Some of my favorite characters I've gotten to interact with. But yeah. So that will be, again, it's a difficulty 3 task, which if you're using your your medium weapon, I'll say it's a might it's a might.
Yep.
3.
Yep. And I'm training my weapon, which brings it down to 2. And I'm just gonna chuck the dice as they are.
That works for sure.
Which
That
works.
would be difficulty 5. So that's gonna do your 4 damage. Are you trying to go for one of the ones who've already been hurt, or the other 2 who haven't been hurt yet?
I think whatever's in front. So if that, I think I said impulsion shot shoots at like whatever's in front anyway.
Yeah.
I assume that's probably one of the first things to get close. So maybe it's the same thing that he's already been smacking with the arrow.
Yeah.
That he just like tries to like keep the shield up, like okay, I've got an opening. Swing.
It lands and it sinks deep, and it's really strange as it doesn't seem to leak out blood. It's almost like gem shards, but like a viscous liquidy kind of version of it is just emanating out of it. And it's, as it falls to the ground, there's a faint moment where it almost seems like sunlight spots. Pausing, that is your run in.
Yep.
Get the hit. Hanan, well, not Hanan, Craven and Aerowen. What do you see? You see 2 of your allies going into the fray. What do you 2 do? Either one, someone.
Okay.
I do the shooting.
Okay. We'll make yours, because it's short distance, which is, I believe, your buzzer's range for it. Difficulty 3, because it's a ranged weapon. 3, are you going for the creatures, or are you going to try and go for the rocks?
Rocks.
Okay. We'll make it a 3. 3 speed task. Using your buzzer weapon. This
Okay.
We'll see if this can land.
Mm.
And then we'll see what the effects will be.
It's a failure.
Nah, unfortunately, with only a roll of 2, you don't manage to beat anything. You fire off the little buzzer shot, and it I'll say this, it's enough where your group is able to notice that Craven is firing off at the rocks above. So you're able to see that. But it's like it barely moves at all. It doesn't seem to go down. So that's Craven's shot. What does Aerowen do?
So Aerowen is going to try and move up as close as they can, immediate distance, and they are going to, in front of them, begin. So they remember there's this in back in their home in the forests of Hydros. There's occasionally this something you've got to be sometimes aware of and be a little careful of are the animals, like say this rather sizable, especially in the vast forests and canopies. Sometimes these massive lizards these massive lizards that have these almost you know how flying squirrels have those gliders, but but on these massive coiling lizards just.
So are you basically saying the flying kaiju from Pacific Rim, the one that like all of a sudden it just gets the big ass wings and it's lizard-like?
Yeah,
or...
I guess so. Yeah, sure. One of those.
I'm trying to think of a reference point to make sure that I got a sense of it. Okay, so what are you doing with that?
Yeah, something like that. I am forming it behind Nopalzin to attempt to distract and hinder the creature's next attack.
Okay.
Using the distract action.
Okay, so you're using the distract action. So let me pull that dang old thing up. So foes' attacks suffer disadvantage. So we'll say, because it is using your nano ability, to see whether that works, we'll make it an intellect roll, the same difficulty everything else has been. 3. If you succeed, the distract will go off, and it will have an effect on the creatures. And it will either hinder, I'll say it'll do both. It'll hinder, because yours is not just you trying to distract, you're using an actual skill to do this. I'll say if you succeed in the task, it will hinder their attacks, and it'll provide an asset to Nepalzi in the next turn. Because I think that makes sense. It's not just you just being like, hey, get out of the way, like, come at me. It's you literally bringing a giant lizard thing at them.
Yeah.
So, difficulty
Okay.
3, intellect roll.
Yes. Let's put a point of let's put a point in there. Just
Okay, so that'll lower the difficulty.
yeah. Let's put a point of effort and submit. Success.
That'll do it. You watch as this fearsome creature that Aerowen is able to summon up appears behind them, and you see 3 of these creatures. All 3 of them are just like, and they're not having a fun time right now. They're really not enjoying the scary lizard thing being near them.
Yeah. They're about 10 feet tall. This is also 10 feet tall-ish. So, you know,
So it's on par.
doing something. Yeah.
So that is going on. Now it is their turn. Now they are going to split their attention between the 2 frontliners because they're currently the ones in the way. 2 will go on Haroon, 1 will go on... The one who Nepalzine hurt is going to try, and you watch it just quickly turn around its body, and it does almost like a very angry goat. It kicks out with these very sharpened, crystalline encased back legs to try and lash out and hit you. So what that means is that it's going to try and do that, which, yeah, it's going to try and kick you with barbed hind legs. So that is going to be a difficulty 3 might defense task, but because of the hindrance of the illusion, it's still somewhat frightened, so that will lower it to a difficulty 2 might defense task. For both of you, it'll be two of those for Haroon, 1 for Nepalzine.
Oh, they really hate me.
You mocked them. No, it's just a matter of trying to keep the combat and stuff flowing and keep it going. But yeah, they are not happy. They are
Okay, so
not a happy chatty.
Difficulty 2, right?
Difficulty 2 for both of you because of Aerowen's hindrance being provided. So it makes it harder for them to do damage, which I'm treating as an asset to you. So let's see. So the first one on Haroon is not a success, but the second one on Haroon is a success. And then Nepalzine, I'll need 1 of those from you as well. Might defense. Unfortunately, that does not... Oh no, it was difficulty 2. Yeah, no, you only rolled a 4. So it only beats difficulty 1. So everyone else watches as 2 sets of these legs lash out and hit one of each of you. From that happening, you will both take... Each of you will take 1 of these, so that will be 5 points of damage inflicted to your might total.
Great. Ah!
5 points. Ow, it's gonna hurt.
Get off me, you big bug.
With that out of the way, though, it is now Hanan's turn. Hanan, you are just a little bit slower on the uptake, but it is now you seeing your allies just getting hit the front line. What do you choose to do? They are short distance away for the purposes of your abilities.
Yeah. If they are short distance, I'm just kind of taking it all in and kind of seeing my teammates kind of start going at them. But I definitely want to try to go into the fray. And I want to use onslaught towards one of them.
All right. Are you choosing? I believe it has either a force or an intellect based one.
It's let me see.
Because I think they do different.
it's-
One is just force, and the other one is an intellect, but it has another effect on it as well.
Yeah.
But it's lower damage. But
I think
So you
that's
recall,
2 points
you would
of
know
intellect.
just from trying to hit them already, they
Mhm.
are pretty armored.
Mm.
But you would also know from your own knowledge of your abilities / a reminder of your, I think, onslaught. I think the intellect damage ignores armor, so it's your call.
Right, yeah. So it doesn't really specify in the descriptions, but if it's through physical, is that through might or is it still intellect? Because
They
it
have
says
their health to bear in mind for that. You all have separate pools, as far as I understand this. Which again, chalk it up to an experience with the system. But they have just a collective health pool. So when they take damage, it'll just be from the health pool. It won't be from like a specific stat. So any kind of damage that you do
okay.
will go through to the health pool. But for you all, it's different because some creatures are specifically like they're meant to break your mind. Some of them are like speedy like attackers, and some of them are just like brutes that will like break your back with a punch. Like that's sort of the difference for the player side versus the creatures. The creatures are much more simplistic in the design because the idea is that they all have unique things related to making the difficulties of tasks different. These kinds of things, for example, would normally be a lot harder to determine in stealth. This is just me explaining stuff out of game, but they are literally walking geode bugs, so it's kind of hard to be stealthy when you're a walking geode bug.
Yeah. Okay, I want to try using the attacking their mind rather than their since I'm sure I can kind of see how armored they are.
Okay, so that is still, the difficulty is a 3, unless you put an effort or anything else to sort of reduce that.
I do want to put effort into this.
Alrighty, and if you have an edge, that lowers the cost from 3 to 2.
Okay. Wait, how is edge used?
Edge would be present, but I believe as nanos you have it in intellect just to start with, so it would automatically lower anytime you're putting effort into that from 3 to 2, as far as I recall.
It also
I do have an edge.
Yeah. So that cuts costs for that and also your abilities as well, if I'm remembering that correctly. Edges are generally designed to like help make resource expending lower, because a lot of more of this game is built around just using your resources as opposed to I have the best kind of spell that goes off and hits this. It's like, nah, it's just how do you manage resources per day?
Okay, I definitely want to use an edge on that as well.
Okay, so the edge will automatically apply. You get to apply it to one thing.
Okay.
The effort is what you determine whether you want to use it actively or not. And Roll20, I believe, already asked that as a feature when you're putting in the roll for your onslaught, which should be in your attacks portion of the sheet. Okay, so roll that, and then we'll see if that works.
Difficulty was 3. And then effort to roll is
1.
Did say 1.
Yep.
And then asset is 0, correct?
Yes.
I mean,
actually, no. It would be 1 because of Adawan's hindrance. They are distracted, so you are able to, while their minds are currently being disoriented by the massive illusion that Adawan is creating, the difficulty, you would have 1 asset.
Ah, okay.
So 1 asset,
very cool.
which will lower the difficulty overall to 2.
And
but you had to start with saying the difficulty was 3, and you're putting in an asset.
And then my cost is 1.
So it's a lot of like little tiny things, but the overall function of it is just. It's
great, yeah. At first, I was just like, "Oh my god, I have to input all these things," but
the idea is, you want to try and reach your target.
Yeah.
Can your friends or your abilities or the way that you spend resources lower that target? If no, after you say no to all of these things, then you just roll. The whole thing comes down to just one roll. Just what you're trying to affect is how hard that roll will be. That's basically the whole way all of the system works. But for combat especially, you don't got to remember feet, you don't got to remember concentration, any of these other things. It's just, can you reach the target number, which for you will ultimately be a 6 once you do all that. So
yeah, and then effort is also 1. Oh my god. Sorry, this is just like this long list.
This is first time for combat. That is a success. That is
Huzzah!
That is a 10. It beats a difficulty of 3. So you deal 2 points of intellect damage to, I'm guessing, the one who's been the most hurt the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep. So that one is, in other systems terms, we might refer to them as looking quite rough.
Yeah. It's looking pretty rough.
Yeah, it's looking pretty rough. Like the crystalline sunlight liquid that might constitute its blood, or at least some of its viscera. Never thought I would ever give that description for a creature ever. It's leaking out. But whereas Nopalzine's was sunlight, other aspects of it seem to be shadow. Like it's like if you've ever seen I think there's like very particular kinds of gems where the level of the intensity of the black color is so dark that light doesn't actually really like get through to it. It's like little droplets of that leaking out of the creature. This time it's coming from its head because you did intellect damage. But yeah, that is a solid onslaught blow from Hanan. Top of the round. The whole party. Figure out what you're doing as you just watched. We'll say until Aerowen does a new action, the hindrance will keep in effect and keep lasting as an asset. So next up, who's up?
Okay. So I guess since I started up the last round, I'll start up this round again. I will. Harun shall put away the rapier, and he will take a solid whack with the glaive
Okay.
at the geode mantis in front of him.
So that will go in. Difficulty 3.
Is a good name, right?
Difficulty stays the same throughout the whole thing unless you have something change, but because you have the asset, if you can input that in, which I believe Roll20 lets you do, it will be 1 asset, which will reduce the overall difficulty to 2.
Okay. And rolling that now. No effort to the roll. Gonna put 1 effort into damage now.
Okay.
I do have an edge of 1.
Yeah, so that will lower your effort put in from 3 to 2.
Would that also lower the damage that came in earlier, or no?
As in, like the effort you're putting in, if you're putting it in for damage, it doesn't lower the difficulty, but if you put it in for damage, that will add on damage to what your base damage is.
Okay.
So your base damage with a light weapon is 2, which I believe adding effort adds another 2 to it. So let's see what that roll is. That roll is a success. So you are able... Oh, the dual glaive. Wow. That's impressive. So if that is still your... Was that with a medium weapon or a light weapon?
That's medium weapon.
Okay, so that would normally be 4 points of damage. I believe the effort adds in 2 more points of damage, so that would be 6 points of damage. Which one are you aiming for?
I'm aiming for the one that looks like it's having the worst day.
Yeah, it is having the worst day, because feel free to describe how the glaive manages to knock this creature out entirely.
Okay, so everyone's gonna take the glaive, and everyone's gonna put away the rapier and take the glaive, spin it around over his head. Spin around over his head. He's gonna strike the ground. He's gonna strike the ground in front of it as it looks down at the glaive, looks up at him, and then bring it back up to whack him.
It's like, look over there. Doink! The creature just splits, and it's like a momentary mix of like a little pool of darkness, and a mini sun flare goes off as its form just crumples to the ground. I also appreciate throughout all of my descriptions, Bram's face has just been like, every single time, it brings me so much joy. But Harun, you've managed to knock out one of these menacing bug-like creatures. Who's up next? And remember, you don't all have to go in the same order. Initiative is just sort of loose. The only thing that changes is that Hanan will always be going last because they go after because of their initiative roll. But yeah, give it a shot, y'all.
I think I would just bash into the line until it stops moving. Just like, okay, bam, like bash it back a little bit with the shield and like try to get like a little bit of pressure pushing it back towards the shoreline.
All right.
Like even if we're not gonna destroy these things, like go back.
You're
Sort
trying
of
to
the
like
intent of the
you're
attack.
trying to create space. You're trying to do what a tank does very well. You create space for your teammates.
Yeah.
So
I don't have the shield bash move or whatever later, but
Yeah, but no.
that's how I'm flavoring it.
Right. That's how I'm imagining it as well. So, might difficulty 3. Input any of your trainings and things of that sort to lower the difficulty, and to see if you can get through this creature's armored carapace.
Let's find out.
That is a
9.
That'll do it. The 4 damage goes through. The armor of the creature seems to resist some of this, but the shield bash is just, and you see, it doesn't go too deep, but you start seeing cracks all across its very crystalline jeweled body. It's not having a fun day. It's not enjoying this.
Maybe it's the bash knocks it up, and then the cut is sort of on the exposed underside temporarily.
Yeah, this creature, it's just hissing, and its 4 arms are just flailing wildly. Craven, Aerowen, what do you do next?
Okay. Well, I don't want. Well, the with the illusion, it's still going double checking, right?
I think so.
It's,
I think or you could just.
Well, it should. Yes.
Yeah, unless it has like a specific like time limit.
I believe so.
Pardon stream. While I open up my water bottle.
It lasts for 10 minutes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna say it just keeps going on. If so long, I'll say the restriction we'll put it is that so long as you're focusing on it and you keep it going for your action, then we'll say that it's going. Unless it's
It's going on, and and it's sort of. I like to also imagine it because it can't actually do any damage because it's an illusion, but it's just angrily, just like hissing, snapping because it can make sounds. So, and the idea, and as it can make sounds, just imagine behind Nopalzin, as Nopalzin is beating back this creature just behind it, almost like a lizard, almost like a lizard guardian of some sort, of just overhead snarling, snarling right at the bug, like daring it to attack.
I'll say the way that this will work. Intellect roll once again, just to see whether or not this is the creature. This is you trying to keep the disorientation of the facade up, so that way it's still something where it's not just like it's just there and they're just constantly afraid of it. It's like because certain creatures, even if they're not very bright, they'll start picking up an illusion, but sometimes. So we'll see. Just for this, I might not keep that as a consistent thing. I might refer to it, but just for this time, just to keep things going, because I'm trying to watch the clock. Intellect roll 3. To see if that continues to affect the creatures.
Oh.
Unfortunately, it's. Tell me if you're okay with this description for it. It's a little over exuberant, with the illusion just at one point. And you hear a clicking noise, and the creatures, just 2 of them, just kind of like cock their heads. And they just kind of turn to each other, and then they just screech louder. And you get the feeling they're not quite buying it anymore.
Oh, I'm going to need a different idea.
Okay, so that was Aerowen's turn, trying to continue the hindrance, but the creatures have unfortunately managed to get through. Craven, what are you trying to do in this moment?
I'm still trying to get that freaking spikes off the thing.
It would be speed task of 3 with an attack with your buzzer. You can, if you'd like, put in effort to try and reduce the difficulty, because right now there is no hindrance being caused by Aerowen anymore.
That's true. Alright, I'm gonna put in 1 effort.
Okay, so let him put in 1 effort. That'll lower the difficulty to 2. So then see if you can manage to land a shot on these spikes to see if you can affect what happens in the terrain.
Finally.
Okay, that works. So what does the little buzzer thing look like for Craven?
There's a buzzer. Since it's a disc thrower, like a PC thingy, but when it's like box, and then it when it shoots out, it shoots out like after it's like spins, and it's that. Yeah, you probably have like a handle to make it like a Beyblade thing.
We're firing lethal Beyblades is how I heard that. It shoots out, and for a moment you think, oh, God damn it, it didn't work. And right as you're about to do that, you just hear... You manage with the rocks. Both creatures turn at the same moment as they hear the sound, because they're quite perceptive creatures despite not necessarily knowing how to do tactics or anything like that. As the rocks pierce into them, the armor across all of them fractures. Their armor rating will be significantly reduced. It will only do 1 damage to each of them, but the armor rating effectively will be almost non-existent now.
Alright, himbos, get him!
Craven is like, I cause chaos wherever I go, but I'm helpful as I cause chaos.
I cause chaos on purpose!
And it worked. But so that is triggered. That'll be your action, but it's effectively just pierced through the armor, and they are significantly impaired from that. It won't cause a hindrance to the next task, attacks they make, but their armor is effectively gone from the spikes. Now it is their turn, the two that are remaining. Each of them is going to take an attack. It will be might defense for both Nopalzine and Haroun. So difficulty of 3.
Okay, might defense.
I'll say, yeah, might defense at this one. Shadamura in the chat saying chaotic good. Craven's definition of chaotic helpful or chaotic good, whichever one applies in this situation.
So, could I use my danger sense in this turn? Because now I'm in the thick of it, and
I'll say that would work in this situation, because it tends to be for like reacting to different stuff. Yeah, after the whole mini cave-in that just Craven caused with the spikes landing, I'll say that applies. So that will lower the difficulty from 3 to 2.
Okay, so it's a might test, difficulty of 2. Rolling right now. I'm getting a bit low, so I'm not spending effort.
Alright, so that is... Yeah, that'll do it. And then Nopalzine... Oh yeah, Nopalzine, you also... Both of the creatures lash out to try and hit you with their hind legs again, but neither of them... They're much more sluggish now, and the armor that's been cracked... Once again, the same thing that happened when the previous wounds were inflicted. It's like pools of sunlight and shadow are leaking out of them. Freaking Craven with punnery. God dang it, Craven. But they've tried to attack, they're unable to do it. You've successfully just dodged out of the way, or you managed to use the shield to just bash them back, as the hind legs are just, they're not hitting with the same force as they were before. Hanan, it's your turn.
Alright, I think I am going to continue using Onslaught, but this time physical. Kind of noticing how their armors are more
It's much more
chinked.
brittle.
Yeah. I think they would want to push through on that.
Okay.
So this time a physical onslaught.
Yeah, so intellect 3 task.
Okay, and similar, I will use an edge to lessen the cost and put effort into it.
Okay, so that will make it a difficulty 2 roll overall to see if you can hit one of these creatures.
Okay. Let me just
Well,
lower
I'm going to
my-
assume in this one the one that's more hurt is they're not having a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it seems like we're not having a good day either.
I mean, you got through the. Well, you landed in the front room.
How did I do this?
Alrighty. And then Haroon and Nopazine, if you're going to be taking your turns next, have a sense of what you might be doing next once Anon finishes up there.
Is the asset still in effect or no?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Aerowen tried to keep that illusion, but they did not seem to buy it on this occasion. Just slightly overzealous. The creature was just like... And it did not look quite menacing in the right kind of way. So let's see what that roll is.
Success.
That's success. That'll do it. The creatures, the force impacts them. The other one before had been looking rough. This one looks even more rough than its companion that just got taken out last round does. And in contrast to how the previous damage had gone through, the full force of the onslaught just hits them right in the chest. This one is barely looking alive.
It'll look back, give a thumbs up.
It's like, buddy. But now, top of the round. Nopazine, Haroon, everyone who's going up. Who's next? I want to figure out what's your task. You trying to finish him off? You trying to keep up the attack? Trying to scare him off? What are you trying to do?
I'd like
I
to.
think now that everything has sort of cleared, mostly been bashed and like super, like, wrecked at this point, I think Nepalzin just like takes a step forward and starts smashing the. This is super bad for your weapon. Don't ever do this in real life if you ever have a shield and a sword. But like walks forward and starts like bashing the flat of the blade against the shield to make just like this horrible crashing sound, and like starts yelling at like, "Look, we beat back your pals. You walk away, and you can crawl back to whatever hole you came out of."
I'd like to try and assist that.
Okay.
Yeah, just so.
How do you assist?
From behind, using just changing up the illusion. The lizard, focusing on it, changing it by having it essentially. There's a thunder along with the sound, a thunderclap sound as it explodes out into one of the storm birds, just behind and cawing, and the sound of all of that.
That's cool.
I know this is not a thing in the system. I'm going to let it be a thing in the system. Aerowen, roll me an intellect roll. I'm going to say you get a free reroll on it.
Okay.
In the event, just because I'm basically giving you advantage because that's just a really cool description, and I'm semi-god in this world, so let's just let you have that because that's really cool. I just want to note that. I just like this is cool. If you succeed, difficulty 3 intellect task. Nopalzine will get an automatic asset to that will drop it no matter what they're doing. So just do that. Just do that roll, and then let's see.
Success.
That'll do it. This creature begins terrifying the bugs. It automatically drops the difficulty to 2 because they are hindered for this task.
Metaphysics question.
Oh, I
are these animals?
I would say they're more insects.
Okay.
They're or more insectoids or insect humanoids would be more the classification.
I only ask because I have training for living in the wilderness in placating animals.
I would say a similar skill set would be involved in here, so I would let that go so that you could reduce the difficulty to a 1 because I think it's a similar... It won't work the exact kind of way, but similar principles will apply.
Same idea, yeah. It's like, look, you're here, you're a predatory animal. This usually works on, like, hyper wolves and things like that. Like,
I've done this and things that
we're
are much
backwards
bigger than
engineering
you.
here. Yeah.
Give it a
I'm
shot.
bigger and louder than you.
Give it a shot. So we'll say that that's now only an intellect task of 1 to see if you can pull that off.
And I got a 4.
You got a 4. Yep, that'll do it. The 2 creatures, just woof. That's a woof if ever there was one. The 2 creatures, like one of them, like still looks like it's trying to like pull back its barbed legs and screech at you, but the other one, it just howls in this weird language, like it screeches in this strange insectoid-like language, and the 2 of them just run off. I don't know if anyone's ever seen a water strider before, in terms of how they move across the water. You just see 2 of them just do that movement of just striding, like very like their tiptoes all across the water deeper into the cave, and they're just gone.
Water not safe.
Okay. And Paulson like wipes the sweat from his brow. Like notices, I'm bleeding a little bit. I'll deal with that later.
Are you okay?
Looks around at everyone. Okay, everyone in one piece?
Right as you turn around, there's the giant stormbird.
Whoa! Like, no! Wait, everyone get back! There's a giant stormbird!
No. As eventually I let it drop.
Oh.
Whoa.
Cool.
That moment when your major image is too convincing.
Yeah, I was hoping. Oh well, that's good. That's not something we needed. Well, it's something we needed, but it's not something that we needed in its actual physical being. Form or being.
Both the front lines are just like, heal me, please. I'm very tired.
Yeah, as he has his glaive in the ground, he's just leaning against it. So took him quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, these things were quite nasty, but the biggest issue was the armor, and I think playing that all off as Craven's just looking around for anything, panicking, and noticing, haha! That seemed like the best way to roll with that sort of major effect. But you all notice that glow that was associated with the creatures, it's still nearby. But it's not moving anymore. It looks as though the glow is just a bit of ways at the end of the beach.
I think now that everyone's in one piece, Nepalzian, I think he's got like this is science fantasy. I'm trying to figure out how you would reasonably carry around a club with obsidian lined teeth along the side of it. I think it's just like a quick release carabiner on his belt. So he like flips down and reholsters it, still has the shield in one hand, maybe like starts to sling it over his shoulder again, and like walking towards these creatures with his bow, scoop up the bow and re-sling that over his back. Like goes like the way that you would, I guess, content warning if you don't like bug and food stuff, but like cracks the shell of one of these things, sort of like a lobster, like trying to get at the crab meat a little bit. Like just puts a hand in, like, what is going on with you? I have never seen anything like you before. There's this light, you're responding to it, or you're connected to it somehow. Like wants to just try and figure out what the physiology of this thing is like.
I would say, because we're getting near the end of our time, because we went over a little bit, so I'll do it like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll call it good for tonight, because I want to respect folks' time. But this would be, probably a 3 or 4 on intellect task to understand it. So I'm going to put it at a 4, because this is weird. This is just weird as to what this physiology is, because like as you're holding it in your hands, Nopalzine, like one hand feels like you're holding a little mini sunspot, and the other one feels like a pool of, like when I say pool of shadow, we're talking like full Venom symbiote effect kind of level of shadow.
Ugh.
Like it's not quite that like slimy kind of nature. It just because it feels solid. It feels like you're holding like the obsidian that dots all along your weapon. It feels like chunks of that, like you were holding a jewel shard of that, but it physically it just looks like the spot where it's holding onto your hand, like all the light's been blotted out right there.
Ugh. I have training in identifying animals. Would you say that applies?
I would say it applies. This is it's a little bit out of your field, but I think it still works for at least picking out what this thing isn't.
Yeah.
So that'll lower the difficulty to a 3 on intellect.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
That is
It's a 9.
That's the exact number you needed. You would know that there are variations of these creatures. They are known as Coxidon. There are oftentimes these creatures that lurk around refuse areas and garbage piles, and they're known to be... They're not quite the same as Moscara. Moscara seem to have come from a very particular variation of radiation from Numenera. These just seem like a little bit more of a different adapted version of bigger bugs you've seen in Hydros, but all this weird shadow and light physiology is strange. That element you don't understand. The knowing what it is at its base, you understand. What this weird shadow and light stuff is, it's that's out of your like field. That's more in the range of like understanding Numenera.
Yeah.
But as you're investigating this creature, taking a look at it, you feel something kind of solid around its chest. And when your hand moves to it, it's like sound. And you discover... Where did I put that dang old thing for you to discover? There we go. It looks like a pair of goggles. One half bright red garnet that emanates a very faint sunlight sort of effect, and the other set like a lens of pure dark shadow that looks as though the feeling of it is akin to amethyst. You have no idea what this is, but the closest thing is it looks like goggles.
Craven peeks in from over his shoulder. What you have there?
I don't know. That's not what I was expecting to find in there.
Can you give it to me? I might know what it means. Well, what it does anyway.
Yeah. Nepalzin like reaches over and is holding them very.
Craven takes it without hesitation. Can I roll an understanding on it?
Yes, it would be... I'll put a difficulty 2 intellect task. And this, whatever the result of this is, and one other thing will be the last thing that happens for this session, because we're getting into pretty little late over our time for today. That is enough. You've seen variations of these, Craven. You've probably longed to have a set of these at some point in your life. These are, based off of your role, these are level 5 crafter's eyes. If I remember the item description correctly, they're designed specifically for the task purposes of easing crafting tasks.
Oh my god. Tom! I found your cousin, Tim! Look!
God damn it. I know this is a thing that's only been for one episode, but I'm already... God damn it. So that is one thing. The last image that you will all see, but I think Hanan picks up on this first. You hear a very scattered voice. I shouldn't have dealt. What if I gone in a different way? What if I hadn't fallen? What if I'd done something else instead? What if I'd gone this? Or what if I climbed down into a rope? What if I'd done something else different? No, wait, the bugs, they would have killed me over there. What if I'd gone over there? But no, the shadow and the light, the different things would have happened. What do I do now? What happens? It's like a chorus of different voices are happening all at once, as just out of nowhere an almost spectral like humanoid just appears in front of the door just for a couple of seconds. So like, maybe if I'd done this, what if I'd gone over here? What if I decided to do that and I avoided the bugs entirely? No, the lights would have burned me or done something else. What if I did something else entirely? And it's so weird. It's just strange watching this thing, because there's like a moment where you see one version of this humanoid, and then there's 3 other versions, like an after image effect of this humanoid. And they all seem to be saying, like, whenever the person starts changing direction in the conversation, like if you imagine the inside of your head when you're like, imagine anxiety as a living being, like the way that, like, if your anxiety brain is on full tilt, where you're like, oh, but you could have done this and you could have done that. Imagine that as a physical entity with all of these after images happening all at once.
Nope.
Like the being doesn't seem to understand what's going on around it. And it turns in the direction of the group. And as the last image you all see at the end of our session, doesn't look quite like them, but the features and design and the way that Hanan is indicated with, I think, was it tattoos was your physical description? I'm trying to remember the exact one. There's similar tattoos. The creature the individual just turns and looks at you. You just see just bits of sunlight emanating out of the tattoos. And that is where we're going to end our session for tonight. I know we went over a bit, but I know we don't have anyone else after us, so we had a little bit of room to do this, and I wanted to make sure that we could get at a good ending point. But that was our first combat. Thank you everybody for tuning in for this much later episode. We've been trying to respect some of the religious practice of other folks among our cast and been doing stuff a little bit later. We'll probably be not continuing that going forward, but regardless, we are always willing to try and make time for folks to do that, because it's important. We have lives beyond these games, and we got to respect that too. But for those of you who were able to turn in for this episode, thank you so much. Thank you to Maddie Games for the raid with, 18 people coming in. It's less coming in the clutch and coming in to just be a boss of being a good person and wonderful. And just thank you so much to folks who come in to help us and who stuck around. Everyone who was active in the chat, Shadamura, Daddy Games, and the Daddy Issues, and I think who was else? We had a few other people who were just super active in the chat, and also, of course, our own Kupo Knight being so wonderful and helpful. And just, Bude RPG. I want to give a shout out to them, because Jesus, they had some funny comments throughout this game. But yeah,
they were so sweet.
Also so sweet. This is a system where some of us are still getting used to, especially me, and I'm loving every minute of getting to do this. So, quick wrap up. Remember, everyone, to take a look at our Discord, Patreon, and merch. I think I have the commands for that. I'm going to try and use the commands for that. If it doesn't work, then we shall see how that goes. Let me just try and send that out if it doesn't happen. There we go. That's Patreon. Sponsors, Tabletop Loot, Maddie at So Nerdware, and our Discord folks, if anyone is interested in checking out the other fantastic people who are part of this community and who've helped inspired me and all the rest of the cast and all that they do. So, very quickly, go around where people can find you and who you are, and then we'll do our shout out as we head out, and then our raid, which I'll need to figure that out. So, anyone who would like to go, this one is free form. Someone take the initiative while I figure out raid.
A breeze through. Never mind. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, if you
No,
really-
you
okay.
You guys are gonna start. I've been jumping the gun a lot, so you guys go ahead first.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Bram, and you can find me around at on Discord and on Twitter at the Fiatos. That's it.
Yep.
Okay, I am Sasso. You can find me on Discord and on here.
I'm Simon. I'm on Twitter at Lucha Libris. If you go to my Twitter profile, you can find links to my itch page for some of my tabletop design. You can go check out some games. I also have my full stream schedule for May up there as well. So go check that out and go watch those shows if you like. And if you'd like to play a private game with me, I am a Magpie curated play program GM. You can go to magpiegames.com/curated-play. Learn more about that. If you pay a very reasonable price of about $10 a head, you can get into a private game of Masks, Bluebeard's Bride, Urban Shadows, or any other fantastic games that Magpie runs, run by some fantastic GMs. So get to look into that.
Next up.
Humblethon 2020.
Somebody
Okay, fine.
fucking take the
Fine.
initiative, goddammit. We're trying to get out of here.
I'll go. Alright guys, my name is Noah. You can find me at Discord, Twitter at OranRune, and well, you can also find me tomorrow at New to the Party channel in Lingo Media, an ESL campaign, Ghost of Saltmarsh campaign. So yeah. Now it's your turn, please.
Okay, I'll go. My name is Gemma. I go by Kupo Knight on Discord and Twitter. On Twitter, it's KUP0KNIGHT. Just a little quick shout out. Welcome to the Party does have a one-shot BIMPOC only show called 3V, which stands for Vibrant Visible Victorious. Please go to vibrantvisibledevictorious.com for info if you want to GM or join a game. This coming Saturday on the 23rd, we are playing Exceptionals, it's basically a playtest from one of our very own Welcome to the Party members, Sahoni, and it is called Exceptionals, and it's inspired by X-Men. So if you're into that kind of like community, marginalized community kind of story with powers, which who wouldn't, please sign up. Go to vibrantvisibledevictorious.com on the steps to do that. And that's it.
Has Haroon spoken yet? /Sunsilt.
I have.
Okay, is this everyone? I'm just double checking. Okay. Whew, tired. GM is tired. I've run two games today, including this one. I'm Angela. You can find me at Phoenix24Fem or PhoenixFem23 on Discord, or just look for some variation of that, or Philosophical Femme. I'm a trans, disabled Latinx writer who just helped contribute to a recent spring equinox issue of the Art for Ourselves online media publication collective. And also, I am a poet and if you're looking for themes for your website or for your TTRPG campaign, I create pieces at what I think are a reasonable price, and I do good shit because I have been told as such and I believe as such. So, believe
I'm
it
telling
yourselves.
you, it's good shit.
Yes. telling you it's good shit. So
I'm
I believe
unbiased.
in myself, and when I believe in myself, I do dangerous things. Says me on some days. But you can find me on there, or you can find me on Patreon, where I do poetry and other writings, and I'm also on a podcast with my partner where we talk about relationship issues and topics related to us being an interracial. Both are transgender of different kinds, polyamorous couple, or polycool. Words are hard when it comes to relationships. But so we are going to be rating. Once I can figure out how to do that raid command, Starfleet command. Once I know what the raid command is the problem. I just don't know how to actually transfer over from our dashboard is the main thing. So someone want to poke the Discord while I try and figure out the dang old thing works.
The Discord is.
Hold on 1 second. Just 1 second. Oh, for So Many Games, as a note, the Discord, the podcast is the very appropriately titled Queerly Yours. It is my partner and I just talking, usually for 45 to hour-long minute segments about various things. We've talked about bisexuality, being a polyamorous couple, being an interracial couple, long distance when we were not living together for, I think it was like 3 or 4 years. We talk about a lot of stuff. So, yeah, feel free to tune in. We are both very queer and very gay. Those are separate things, but kind of related for both of us. That's us. So, /raid channel. I'm trying to see who the heck is even on right now. Let me double check this. Apologies to all of our viewers who are watching me try and do all of this. This is my first time doing production with the raid element to it. Somebody poke the rock. Somebody help me. Apologies for this. This is the last bit of flailing I'll need to do while I do this. Okay, receiving help in but a moment while the... Receiving help in just a moment while when someone from our lovely Discord comes and helps me out with the things that are occurring in this moment. Doop-a-doop-a-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Unless someone else wants to chime on in and switch us over from the other production team. For anyone else who'd like to vamp or do the enthusiastic thing.
Popcorn, am I right?
Hey, popcorn.
Bitches love it.
Bitches love it.
That's what I've heard.
I mean, you just get them. You just get them, like, by the bucket full.
Yeah. Nutritional yeast is actually a fantastic topping for popcorn, and it's one that you may not have previously considered. My name is Simon, and I'm here to talk to you about the benefits of nutritional yeast. It is effectively dead and deactivated yeast, which is no longer useful. However, it is still beneficial to you in that it provides a number of different essential minerals and nutrients, and it also tastes delicious with a slightly cheese-like flavor.
For a hot second, I heard you said nutritional yeet, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, nutritional yeets. Just huck 'em.
Well,
Yep.
Throw the nutrition at the other person.
Just eat it.
Why?
It's got to go from one place to another somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But in all seriousness, if you do take popcorn and take a variety of nutritional yeast, put it in a little shaker cup, and just sort of sprinkle it all over everything, you'll end up with popcorn that sort of tastes like it's been dunked in like Parmesan cheese. It's a little bit like Smart Food without all of the puff and the gunk.
This is for real? This is
for
talk?
real, absolutely. Yeah.
I
God.
believe we are beginning the raid if this thing is going through Sage raid.
Because I've started eating plant-based, and a lot of recipes I'm looking at are like nutritional yeast. I'm like, what is this? What is this? I don't know what this means. So
why are you?
Sounds like I need to order some of that. Or
It's not just for crunchy white people that think that granola is the greatest invention since sliced bread.
Those are some fighting words. Sliced bread.
Simon, I love you very much, and just that you are both capable as just a human being and a troll in the moments of fine, charismatic ways. I love you very dearly.
But yeah, nutritional yeet. It's what the nerds eat.
Why are you all like this? Actually, I can't say anything to that because I am also like this. And
You
why
want
is
me to
that not
ramble
working?
about like this new recipe my grandma just told me about? It's like she found it in like.
That's a shirt.
It better be.
It has to be.
Make it happen,
Want me
Maddie.
to ramble about this new recipe? I've been eating this since like the lockdown, and I think I've been.
It's what you get when you get a bunch of BIMPOC in like a freaking Zoom room. What happens? We talk about food.
Oh, you know what actually we had a good having recently? We've been having
Leona is coming to help me in but a moment.
Leona's coming to save the day.
It's usually let's be real talk for anyone who's still catching this last bit of our vamping and such
Let's just
while
talk
I
about
deal with
food.
this.
It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one, we talk about food, and also we all give praise to
Okay.
Leona for saving me and all of us and doing all the work
All hail.
because she does so much for us.
Bless
so
Leona.
bless Leona.
It's gonna be.
This is the mandatory food segment, though. It's not an Angela
Yeah.
game without food, and
Yeah,
we didn't
and
do
there
any of
was
that
no
until
food
now.
in
so
this
I
stream,
mean, hey,
so it had to be
do you
up
call
for-
do you call illuminating and shadow emanating umbral creatures not food? I'm sorry. If your tastes are
Well-
not developed enough to eat the giant 10-foot tall insectoid humanoid trying to hind kick you in the face.
They're gonna be our food source in the next session.
Yeah, well, also, I mean, I'm actually thinking about how to prepare that and figuring out that way a little bit, honestly. But also,
grill
I
it.
mean, I think that we were their food, or attempted to be, so there was still some food. And
We're
some
about to head out.
Oh, here it
attempted
comes.
The
consumption.
raid
Here
is
it comes.
coming.
Here comes the raid.
Thank you,
Here comes the raid.
Okay, everybody.
I saw a say bye in the chat.
Right.
Yeah, nutritional yeast. Yeah,
You're free.
we are free.